Dietropolis.
It's Kevin and Query.
I throw, you catch. It's not that hard, okay? All right, get the out of here.
I'm going to talk a lot about drills and fundamentals.
Watch it, watch it, watch it, watch it.
On 93.5
Watch it.
and 107.5.
Boom, baby.
The Fan.
Here is, Kevin, the biggest news of the weekend. I'll put you on the spot. There was a sports story that happened over the weekend that I'm like, that is the biggest news, A1, lead story. Shut it down.
The Pacers signing Fanbo Zeng.
That is it, baby. Fanboy's a Pacer. How about that? What are the odds of that? Like, I'd never heard of Fanboy till Friday. We're looking at the G League Ignite, and I'll tell you, I saw some footage of him. He looks good.
Let's go!
Yes.
He looked like he weighed as much as me.
Well, he's a fanboy. What do you expect? He's just out there to get selfies.
A little bit of the Summer League roster for the Pacers. I thought you'd be in mourning with your Avalanche or with your Lightning losing.
Oh, because his Avalanche won.
Thank you, Mark.
His Lightning lost, but his Avalanche won.
That's right. I mean, my fandom for the Avalanche and my love for the Avalanche.
Are you flying out for the parade?
Not wearing your Nordique shirt today?
Thank you, Mark, for noticing my Nordique shirt because I actually wore it for Game 5. Sweated through it so bad. I had to wash it. It's at the and I mean I couldn't just take. I had to take it to the dry cleaning.
2-1 last night. The Avalanche beat the Lightning and they win in 6 games there. How was the weekend?
I had a good weekend. You know where I went on Saturday? My buddy Michael Ware plays for the Elect, which is the best local band by far in Indy. And so we went on Saturday night. Michael was playing. He sent me the list of where they're playing lately. We usually go see him at the Rathskeller. They played at a place called Monon 30, which is brand new. It was the first weekend for it. And basically a group of investors, including one of the guys that's related to the woman that owns Ball and Biscuit, they bought this like warehouse at 30th where the Monon comes down and Andrew J. Brown. So, I mean, clearly an area that they're trying to, gentrify and bring back. But they bought this warehouse area and turned it into a live entertainment. They had cornhole and food trucks and then a really cool musical stage. And the Elect was playing as part of the kickoff weekend of this new 5-year project is what it's seen as, to ultimately have condos and a farmer's market since it's in kind of a food desert on the near east side of Indianapolis, right off of the Monon. And I went down. I mean, I will admit, I was like, I don't know, man. And then we got there and I'm like, it was fabulous.
Great. They've
done a great job of, it's going to take, a while for that to get traction. But I look at it, Kevin, and I'm like, Sobro or like 54th Street, like that area.
Yeah, that's right in my neck of the woods.
When they first got those, if you think about like at 54th over by Mama Corolla's, like when they first started getting that going, it was kind of a warehousey district. And then boom, now it's like this awesome area. I'd love to see that happen as well at 30th and the Monon. But we went Saturday night, was perfect night outside. Went and listened to the Elect play. And it was cool. It was fun. What about you?
We went to the Indians game on Friday night. And my wife had a work event there. I didn't realize until I saw it Saturday morning, they had a little bit over 12,000 in the building on Friday night. That was their biggest crowd since 2019.
Did you get one of the baseball bat beers?
I did not, but I saw them a lot.
Are they plastic? Because if they were glass, that'd be a problem.
Yeah, well, I assume after the brawl, I don't think many things are glass in the in sporting event venues anymore. Those were very popular. It looked like making the rounds there. I did not get my hands on one of them, but yeah, it was a great night for a baseball game and high-scoring game. The Indians lost, but a lot of entertainment there. And Mark, you went yesterday, you said?
Went yesterday. There were no baseball bats there.
They ran out.
They
reordered them. They've got. I saw they ordered 5,000 more for the July 4th through 10th homestand. So if you didn't get one, hang in there.
The other thing that I did yesterday, while you were, Mark, at the Indians game, yesterday at 2:00, there was a ceremony to kind of kick off, I guess, if you will, wave the green flag, for lack of a better phrase, on the Racing Legends Tour at Crown Hill. Now, this is the perfect thing for me, right? Because it combines the Indianapolis Motor Speedway and cemeteries, the two things for which I have the greatest passion. Now at Crown Hill Cemetery, you can actually go. They have an app, and you can get a guided voice tour from Bob Jenkins and Donald Davidson of the different racing legends that are their final resting places at Crown Hill, to do a tour of between the Indianapolis Motor Speedway founding fathers, drivers of note, dignitaries of the Speedway, Buddy McAtee, who was with IMS Productions, Bob Jenkins himself, who's at Crown Hill, Carl Fisher, and it's a guided tour that you do on your phone. And yesterday was the day that they basically kind of officially launched that, and I was very flattered.
Right up your street.
Oh, 100%. And David from Crown Hill called me about a month ago and asked if I would say a few words at the opening of that, which I was very flattered and humbled to do. And they had a couple of vintage cars out there, so we did that yesterday about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And it was a wonderful day. And then all of a sudden, like, somebody turned on the oven and it got really sticky outside.
Yeah, it had that like threat of rain look the entire day.
Totally.
And then the sun came out a little bit later. I also woke up today, air conditioner broken.
Really?
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Time to call Chris and John Love.
Scrambling a little bit this morning, trying to make some phone calls there. So we'll see how that gets taken care of.
You know what's good for that, Kevin? You put a bowl of ice in front of a fan. Did you know that?
That does the trick?
Mm-hmm. Until the ice melts. But in the beginning, the cold air rises up off the ice, and then it blows. The fan blows that colder air off of the ice
Certainly
out.
Text Maddie and tell her to get the ice
Cools
cubes
off the room.
out of the freezer.
Did you watch the Stanley Cup last night?
I watched a little bit. You know, the one thing, little anticlimactic third period. Obviously a one goal game, so still pretty entertaining there, but no scoring in that final period. The Avalanche were down 1-0 early, and then got both those goals in the second period. And I do, and I saw some highlights of it this morning. I do love the celebration. I said it, a couple weeks ago when the NBA Finals trophy, the Larry O'Brien trophy, was handed to the Warriors ownership group. I do like that they give it to the captain of the winning team there. Did you see he tripped and fell? Dented
Really?
the Stanley Cup.
The cup was dented?
Yeah.
He went to go slide into the team photo. And
Yeah.
Bam.
I was running around the backyard. I didn't see that part of it.
Changing shirts, too,
Running
right?
around the backyard at midnight?
Oh, absolutely. Are you kidding me? When your team wins, Kevin, it doesn't matter what time it is.
There's no curfew for fandom.
Right.
That is right. Ask Fanboy, newest Pacer.
Exactly.
He'll tell you.
Yeah, it was a definitely a blooper reel moment there for the Avs, but 2-1 on the ice of the Lightning. Pretty good year for Stan Kroenke, right?
I guess, man. I mean, you win as the owner of the Rams. You have the fabulous new stadium in the NFL that hosted the Super Bowl. You've now won the Stanley Cup. He owns the Nuggets too, right?
I believe so, yeah.
So that's the last thing left for him. He doesn't have he's not part owner of the Rockies, is he?
Boy, with him,
Actually, you know what?
I've looked. Doesn't he have some EPL ownership? One of those soccer teams.
It's amazing when you look at the number his business.
Yeah, he owns Arsenal.
Okay, he owns
Now, did he marry a Walmart?
That is
Walton?
correct. That's correct. So, Kroenke Sports and Entertainment owns Arsenal, Arsenal WFC, the LA Rams, the Denver Nuggets, the Colorado Avalanche, the Colorado Rapids, the Colorado Mammoth, the Los Angeles Gladiators, the Overwatch League, the Los Angeles Guerrillas. Oh, that's of the Call of Duty League. And he is the husband of Ann Walton, who is the daughter of Bud Walton, who founded Walmart.
Now, Walton just bought the Broncos, correct?
Correct. There are like 4 or 5 kids of Bud Walton, correct?
So would that be a sister and a brother part of NFL ownership?
Yes, I think that's a good point. In terms of, no, I guess I take that back. There are 2. Bud Walton had 2 children, Ann and Nancy. Sam Walton is the one I think that is now, he's deceased too. It must be Sam Walton's kids. I mean, there are a bunch of Waltons from Walmart.
Late June in this market, Jake, typically is extremely quiet. But with how the NBA kind of compacts the draft and free agency, this is another pretty important week for the Pacers. Free agency will begin on Thursday evening. They used to do, midnight of July 1st. I think the NBA finally realized, you have tons and tons of interest in this time of year. I'd say the NBA probably does as good of a job with their offseason as any professional sports league, just with the intrigue and the rumors of trades and all that. They finally moved it up to 6 p.m. the day before July 1st. So that'll be Thursday at 6 p.m., free agency underway. And I think with what happened with Malcolm Brogdon and Myles Turner this past week, neither of them being moved, I do think there's a lot of intrigue this week to see what the Pacers do. It's not an abundant free agent class by any means. Certainly the Kyrie Irving news and potentially Kevin Durant start a little bit of domino effect potentially, but still another critical week for the Pacers.
Don't you wonder, like Kevin Durant, we'll begin with that. If Kevin Durant becomes a free agent, what market or what team even has probably the cap room to get Kevin Durant?
Yeah, well, correct me if I'm wrong. He's still under contract, right? It would be Kyrie. Doesn't Kyrie have the player option?
Okay, Kyrie Irving has a player
trade.
option. Okay, so I was thinking Durant had a player option as well.
Durant you'd have to trade for. The thing, Jake, is you just get so many teams involved in it, and you have other teams absorb cap space, and you can make a move for him. I'm sure other teams it'd be a lot easier to do than most. The Pacers, honestly, would probably be one of the teams that could absorb something like that. But, this is an area where Kevin Pritchard has had a lot of success in kind of being that third team in a deal, things like that. And if you listen to the Pacers comments post-draft, you listen to the press conference comments on Friday afternoon, they still make it very clear that Malcolm Brogdon is not part of their future.
One of the guys that is a free agent, and I'm not saying this is one of those guys, Kevin, I talk a lot about, or we talk a lot about on this show. Sometimes players get unfairly judged or assessed based on how or where they were acquired with the particular team in which they're playing. And a change of scenery kind of takes that microscope off of them, and then they flourish. Let me give you a name of a guy who has struggled, admittedly, so far, but is still young. And if he's going from a situation where he was a lottery pick and thought to be a marquee player into one that you can sign him for a somewhat friendly deal and give him the time and the room to grow a little bit. A 36% shooter from three-point range, that doesn't blow you away. A couple of years ago, averaged just under 18 points a game, but then just kind of lost his footing, but a new home as, say, a sixth man, a Jeremy Lamb-type role for Indiana. Would you be interested at the right price of bringing Gary Harris home?
Not really, Jake. I think you got a logjam in the backcourt.
You think so?
Yeah.
But I don't think of him as a backcourt player. I think of him as more of a three. I guess he is more of a shooting guard, but I see him more like like I said, in the Jeremy Lamb, like kind of 2-3 category.
Yeah, I just, part of me looks at the situation right now and Lance Stevenson, there's no real need to bring him back unless he's going to be content with being your 11th or 12th
that's
guy.
Fair.
I just feel like Gary Harris, at this point in his career, Jake, I just think would be stunning minutes of your younger guys. Because when you look at the backcourt, and again, add it up, in some way, shape, or form right now, you've got Malcolm Brogdon, you've got Buddy Hield, you've got TJ McConnell, you've got Tyrese Halliburton, Chris Duarte, Benedict Mathurin. Dwayne Washington Jr., I thought had a nice rookie year and probably deserves some fringe minutes. That's a lot of guys for those spots. I tend to think free agency-wise, you're in kind of the 3-4 range.
Marvin Bagley. Do you go out if you can find a friendly
dude that has not amassed to anything?
Totally agree, but again,
welcome to free agency.
If you are, you're not paying him like a guy that you took second overall. 15.7 boards a game, 55% from the floor. I don't know what his wing defense is like though. I'm not real interested in a guy. If they say to me like his best area is in the lane, okay, well, no thanks. I want guys that are playing on the baseline on the wings and guarding out there as opposed to just holding up camp in the paint.
Following the Colts draft, Jake, we did a little segment of like, all right, who are the winners, who are the losers of the Colts draft? And the guy atop the loser list, the guy that was hurt the most, I thought, from the Colts draft, ironically, ended up being Khari Willis. I thought it at the time, more of a long-term thing. Obviously didn't realize he would retire just a month or two later. For the Pacers right now, I'd put the biggest winner, I'd put it at O'Shea Brissett.
Yeah, because they haven't gone out and...
If Jalen Smith ends up walking this week, O'Shea Brissett, I think, has a team option, a very manageable team option, just a couple of $1 million for this season. You pick that up. I mean, O'Shea Brissett could be your starting 4 next season. I think he's a guy that benefits a whole lot. And again, there's been moments where I'm like, I really, really like him. Now, I don't know if I don't think he's a starting 4 on a legit Eastern Conference team, but I think he's just certainly played his way into a consistent rotational
I agree
piece.
with that. He's an energy guy for sure, right?
Can stretch the floor a little bit.
Yeah.
So I thought he would slot into that area. But those are some things we can get into as well. Tommy Lloyd, the Arizona head coach, who obviously was with Benedict Mathurin and actually with Andrew Nembhard for a year at Gonzaga. He had some interesting comments, mainly about Mathurin, that I want to touch on as well today.
Benedict Mathurin had some interesting comments too.
Yeah, what was he saying? He's can't wait to play LeBron to see if LeBron can measure up to him.
LeBron's going to have to show me he's better than I am.
Oh, gosh.
I mean, if you're LeBron James, don't you just look at that and like, kids,
Probably sip on the tequila that you have during the offseason.
I mean, really?
I kind of like Mathurin's edge.
Yeah, I mean, so long as he backs it up.
Certainly.
You know what's interesting? What's interesting is the Pacers they acquired 2 guys, Mathurin and Fanboy, which is exactly what you are, right? You're a Mathurin fanboy.
Boy, that's probably putting it lightly.
You literally are.
Should I get the 00? Are you a fan of Mathurin's 00?
That to me is a little odd, but I shouldn't say that. It's just odd because they're going to have a 0 and a 00, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can you do that? Can you have a 0 and a 00?
I guess. Well, he was 00. What were the other numbers? Kendall Brown, I think it was like 10 or something.
What would you be? What would your NBA jersey number be?
Would that be the first 00 in the NBA?
Robert Parrish, buddy.
91.
I don't remember that.
Was that our test? 91?
Yeah, 91 was also the greatest year of graduation for the North Central High School alumni group. Thank you.
10 for Kendall Brown, 00 for Mathurin, and 2 for Nembhard.
I thought Dwayne Washington Jr. was 2. Was he not?
For some reason, 4 is sticking out to me with him.
Obviously a memorable season for him.
Yeah, well, not a lot of memories there.
I mean, he's
front.
To your point, he did a nice job of putting himself a role, but hold on. I thought for sure he was 2. I would be number 3, by the way.
Now, Friday at the Indians game, I saw some older fellow, just adult age, catch a home run. Mm-hmm. Kind of
4 for Dwayne Washington, you're right.
Outpositioned a younger child for a home run. Unless you have a kid with you at the game, you've got to give that ball to the kid.
Yes, you're a psychopath if you keep it, yes.
Now, if you have a nephew, son, daughter, niece, whatever, and you have attended the game with them, certainly, by all means, do anything you can to catch the home run ball and then hand that ball to the young child you're there with.
Kevin, this is really simple. If you go to a baseball game, it's really simple, okay? If you go to a baseball game and you are in other words, if you are accompanying a child that is bringing their glove, then you are allowed to bring a glove with them to participate with them in the glove foul ball, thing. If you are the one that catches said foul ball, obviously your kid gets it. If you are not with a young person and you are over the age of 12, you are banned from bringing a glove to the park. And if you are over the age of 12 and you catch a foul ball and you do not immediately have an assigned child in your area that you have designated will be the recipient of said ball upon you catching it, then you are banned permanently from the stadium.
I like that.
It's very simple. Now, unless you can give plausible explanation and or proof that you have a child at home that you have promised the baseball in advance if you catch it, yada, yada. But you've got to be able to prove that. You have 24 hours to prove it.
Boy, that
sounds
like a very difficult story.
You can't at that point. Like the kid on Seinfeld that, you know.
It sounds like we need Rafael Sanchez or something on that story to monitor.
Well, Paul O'Neill, like if it's the kid on Seinfeld that Paul O'Neill promised 2 home runs, you know, in order to get the card back, I get it. But listen,
Rowdy go home with them to make sure that the ball is properly delivered.
Rowdy turns into Liam Neeson.
I
need to see the kid.
I've told you I'm going to make an amendment here. I've always said 3 kinds of people in this world you just can't trust. There are 3 kinds of people that you can automatically tell that they are a psychopath, and you cannot trust them. One is somebody who does not return their grocery cart at the grocery store. One is somebody that does not know how to deboard an airplane, and they're trying to jump rows, and which bottles everybody up, and it's a disaster. One is somebody who does not use a dog voice. If they see a dog and they just walk up and like, "Hi, dog," that person's a psychopath. And the last one is anybody that tries to out-wrestle from a kid a foul ball or home run ball at a Major League Baseball stadium.
Now, about the airplane, what about the people that get up the second
they also are... Have you done this before?
Yeah. I feel like standing for 20 minutes.
Or people on an airplane that haven't muted their phone. Mm-hmm. So as soon as you land and you're back in service, it's like ding, ding. And then there's always that one idiot that they have their phone on ring, and it rings like 7 times and they can't find the mute button on it. It's unbelievable.
Or the folks with kids, throw some headphones on them.
Totally.
Well, they got the volume blaring.
See, let me ask you guys this. I know we're up against it, but let me ask you this. The other day,
people that just tour cemeteries constantly.
That's fine. They're not bothering anybody. Maybe those that are resting. I've wondered this. Me. I don't have kids, so I get it, right? I try to be understanding of people that have children. I get it. It's a full-time job. Kudos to it. But you guys are parents, so let me ask you this. If you are in a restaurant or a fairly confined type area, and I get it, you've got to have tablets or cartoons going to keep your child entertained and I totally understand. But do you try to keep it to a restricted volume?
Yes.
Like the other day I was somewhere and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to read and like chill out. And the people next to me, their kid had like a tablet with, I don't know, some cartoon, and it was like volume 10.
Yeah, certainly.
And I'm just like, come on, man.
We were out to dinner one time, and somebody had their kid with a tablet, and I don't know what cartoon this was. It was the loudest and most obnoxious noise. Like, zip, bong, bank. I'm like, is there words in this cartoon? It's just noises.
Or like, and there's food all over the place. It's like, do you not, like, again, I'm not a parent, so I realize it's unfair of me to say, but I just look at it and go, I would like to think that I would handle that differently, but I'm sure it is a bigger challenge than
there's parental etiquette that needs to be followed.
Thank you. Okay.
TV voice of the Pacers, Chris Denari at 8 o'clock, Alex Golden at 9. We'll dive deeper into the Pacers draft here. And again, NBA free agency just a few days away. It's Kevin and Query on a Monday.
The Ride with JMV.
Desmond Bain of the Memphis Grizzlies joins us. Klay Thompson had mentioned your teammate, Jaren Jackson Jr., in a tweet. Does that stir the pot even more so between you and the Warriors?
Anytime you play a team in a playoff series, you develop a little bit of rivalry, tension, and the fact that after winning the championship, he's still thinking about us is a good sign for us and where we're trending towards.
The Ride with JMV.
Weekdays 3 to 6
on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Take Audible along this summer and listen to best-selling audiobooks, exclusive originals, and podcasts. Start with a free 30-day trial at audible.com.
Sometimes an injury or death happens due to someone else's mistake. Find justice with the injury attorneys at Parr Ritchie at 317-269-2509. PARRinjury.com.
When you're ready to trade up from ordinary to extraordinary, visit the Midwest's premier entertainment destination. Four Winds Casinos. Exceptional food, shows, shopping, and fun at Four Winds Casinos. With locations in South Bend, New Buffalo, Hartford, and Dowagiac. Visit fourwindscasinos.com and trade up from ordinary to extraordinary. Four Winds Casinos.
As a Shane Company jewelry consultant, I see so many customers who have struggled to find a wedding band at other stores. When they come to Shane Company, they find the one. Not only do we have the widest selection of unique wedding bands, we are also experts at helping you find the perfect band to complement your engagement ring, even if it's an heirloom ring. You can play around with stacking bands, try contour bands, or just go with something simple. There are so many options. We also have handsome men's bands, hundreds of styles to choose from in every price range. You might have no idea what you want, but we'll take the time to show you different metal types, fits, and styles. You can even build your own with our online tool. And we offer a free lifetime warranty. Come see us and we'll help you both find a band that you love wearing every day. For some helpful tips, check out our online wedding band guide.
Now you have a friend in the jewelry business. Shane Company and ShaneCo.com.
Here's what's happening with the Fan.
Summer is here, and the Ride with JMV is ready to come and hang out at your house for a backyard broadcast. Head to 1075thefan.com and register for a chance to have JMV do his show live from your backyard July 1st. Think you have the best sports trivia knowledge? Listen to Kevin and Query weekdays 7 to 10 a.m. and call into the pop quiz for your chance to win a Jiffy Lube prize pack.
For more info, click on 1075thefan.com.
He's Big Joe for Absolute Comfort, your trusted independent American Standard Air dealer. The owner is Chris Wettikin, and he sells the ductless Mitsubishi Electric Mini Split, which is a great way to heat and cool specific rooms in your home with geothermal efficiency and very low energy cost.
We have the low wall mount systems, we have high wall mount systems, and if you just don't want to see the unit, we have flush mount systems that can be built into the ceiling.
Check out the latest technology at AbsoluteComfort.org. Absolute Comfort is your trusted independent American Standard Air Mitsubishi Electric Elite Ductless Pro dealer.
O'Reilly. Restore shine and protect your interior with Armor All cleaning and protectant wipes at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Right now, buy 2 canisters of Armor All wipes and get 1 free. Plus, you'll earn double O Rewards points. Clean, shine, and protect with Armor All wipes available at your local O'Reilly Auto Parts or shop online at O'ReillyAuto.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
The Morning Checkdown. Omaha! Brought to you by QC Kinetics. Relieving your joint pain at QCkinetics.com. On 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Lord Stanley Cup heading to Colorado. It will finally, for the first time in 2 years, will not be going to the Tampa Bay Lightning. The Avalanche win 2-1 last night in Tampa. And that is a 4-2 series win. I didn't realize this. The Avalanche go 16-4 in the playoffs. That is the second best mark in the last 34 years.
Really? I guess...
pretty dominant season in general for them.
Well, I mean, I think they know, and a lot of teams do, that they got to get it in now before the Flames next year make their move.
That's one way to put it. Tampa Bay, their first series loss in over 1,100 days as the two-time defending champ.
Major League Baseball yesterday, it's the Cubs over the Cards 6-5. Cincinnati over San Francisco 10-3. What did you say there, Mark?
I said, yeah. Anytime the Cardinals lose is always a good day.
All right. Well, that's true. I mean, the Cubs, that's a double bonus for you, right?
Double bonus. They actually, I think was that a 4-game series or 3? I don't even know, but I think they split.
Dodgers over the Braves 5-3. The International League, it was the Indians 6-2 over Memphis. Kevin Bowen had 3 of the beer bats, right?
Boy, if I did, Rowdy would be dragging me out to the car there. How about the Astros combining for a no-no on Saturday over the Yankees? 13 strikeouts by Christian Javier, 7 innings. And then Hector Neris and Ryan Presley go 1 inning each there. First no-no at this version of Yankee Stadium since 2009.
Okay.
Mark.
Well, I didn't know if we were done right there.
NBA draft, of course, we talked about it on Friday. Benedict Mathurin is the newest member of the Pacers. He comes into a situation now as the Pac-12 Player of the Year. where he's going to have to be a leader probably for Indiana, especially if they're doing a rebuild here, going to a younger team. We're hoping that Mark Dykton has it queued up. Benedict Mathurin talking about being a leader in the NBA.
I mean, I'm really, I would say I'm mostly a simple guy. I like to compete a lot.
Is he in a hallway?
Yeah, no, that's a big part of me. I feel like leading was something else.
Can we?
Really,
is he underwater?
When I went to Arizona.
They're at the dolphin exhibit. They were touring sites in Indianapolis there.
I think that audio was taken about 15 feet away from him.
What is that?
So the dolphin exhibit there.
Was he talking in the baseball
bat?
bat?
A recognition that Indianapolis.
Didn't they make the rounds? Saw Callum Ilott, I believe, drove them around the track. You see that, James?
I think people are.
This guy recorded it.
With that opportunity because we've done it for so long. And I said we're also really focused on how do we improve the medical evaluation.
Can we just end the Zoom era of audio, please?
Well, I'd like to think that press conference was in person, right?
Can we use malt boxes again? Are we allowed to use malt boxes? I know people listening don't know what a malt box is, but I just like saying malt box.
Now, you won money off your College World Series pick, Ole Miss beating Oklahoma.
Do you remember when we were talking when it was during the Super Regionals, and I thought the World Series was set, and we were just talking about teams, and so I have two of, and I'm not going to say any names because I am, by the way, I am a sports wagering app free agent. I will happily endorse any of them that come my way.
You're about to be Lance Stevenson, or you are Lance Stevenson.
That's right. But I have two of them that I have used these promotional codes or whatever for like your $5 freebie or like those huge, and I've built up a pretty decent nest egg of myself without ever having used any of my own money. But so I always just take like $2 and I find the ones with these huge odds. Well, I put $2 on Ole Miss when they were 31-1. So, hotty toddy, $62.
There we go. Where are we heading for lunch?
Union Jack, I guess, because when I was in Union Jack on Saturday evening, I went there before we went to Monon 30, that area I was talking about. Went to the restroom. There were two guys sitting front and center watching the game wearing baby blue Ole Miss baseball jerseys.
I love the baby blue Ole Miss look.
And I'm like, so wait a minute, like, are you guys, and one of them, I don't know if he is a native to here, but he was like, yeah, man, I went to Ole Miss. And so he and his buddy were there, saddled in. They looked like the peanut gallery from Ted Lasso. They were locked in watching the game. I'm like, that's cool.
Last team in the tournament, and they win it all.
Were they the last team in?
That's what they were saying on the broadcast. They beat Oklahoma in the final there in Omaha, so no deciding Game 3 tonight in that one. Game 1 and Game 2 go to Ole Miss, and they are the national champs. This year, they had just won their first national title, women's golf, and now this. That probably a stat I would not have gotten. I would just assume every SEC team has won some sort of national title before this year.
I have before me a list now that the college championship season is complete of every national champion in each sport in NCAA for the last sports calendar year. And at some point today, I'm going to start giving you quizzes to see how many of them you can name. You name the sport, I've got the champion.
We also, I meant to try to get this in on Friday, but obviously a lot of draft stuff. We got a couple packages. Matthew and Charlie have sent some packages our way. So
really?
We can open those up as well. We'll do that a little bit later in the show. A lot of Pacers draft talk. We'll do that next year. Kevin and Query, 93.5, 107.5, The Fan.
Cardinals, Phillies, Sunday Night Baseball. The coverage begins at 6 on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
It's the first day of the first grade, and she found a new best friend. It's a laid-back Sunday afternoon you wish would never end.
The homemade taste of Bluebell and good friends gathered round. The good old days are being made right now.
Some things sound so good you can almost taste it. Like Bluebell Strawberry Lemonade Ice Cream. Delicious strawberry ice cream swirled with lemonade sherbet and sprinkled with lemon-flavored flakes. It's better than you can imagine.
The good old days are being made right now.
The good old days are being made right now.
look for Bluebell ice cream at select Kroger stores.
Hey, Indiana, the PGA Tour is in full swing, and the best place to tee off is on FanDuel Sportsbook. Hey, it's Mark from Kevin and Query, and right now, new customers get $150 in free bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. All you have to do is head over and sign up with promo code MARK, as FanDuel's an official betting operator of the PGA Tour, so they have all your betting favorites to choose from. Get in on the action with tournament winners, top 20 finishes, bet matching, and so much more. Plus, you can now combine your PGA Tour bets for an even bigger payday. If you haven't tried FanDuel, now is the perfect time to give it a shot. All you have to do is sign up with promo code MARK and turn a $5 bet into $150 in free bets, win or lose. Again, that's promo code MARK exclusively on the FanDuel Sportsbook app, MARC. And while you're there, check out their everyday odds boosts and specials. The app is safe, secure, and easy to use. And when you win, get paid fast. Again, promo code MARK on the FanDuel Sportsbook app, MARC. Must be 21 and over in Indiana. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued is now withdrawable free bets that expire 14 days after receipt. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-9-WITH-IT.
Spectrum is America's leading internet provider, delivering ultra-fast gig speeds you need on the high-performance network you want. And Spectrum's advanced home Wi-Fi is security made simple, automatically blocking outside threats, along with 99.9% network reliability. So no matter what you do online, you can do it faster, safer, and more reliably with Spectrum Internet. Get 200 megabits per second for only $49.99 a month. Visit Spectrum.com today for details. Based on internet subscribers among top internet service providers. Restrictions apply.
We all have an image of ourselves, and that image, if we have an image of a non-smoker, we attract non-smoker behaviors and beliefs. So we have an image of a smoker, we attract the habits of a smoker. If we have the image of a person who is overweight, we live up to those expectations. So one of the things we focus on with our programs is this, is we work on, at the subconscious level, the image or snapshot of yourself. If you have a healthy image, you attract healthy habits. We work on, under hypnosis, taking the pleasure association out for smokers that they have towards smoking, putting back in what they already know consciously, that it's a filthy, disgusting habit that they never wish they start in the first place, that's killing them dead. And we get them out of these sessions feeling good about themselves, and guess what? They want to do these things instead of feel like they have to do them.
Join Mark Patrick Seminars and stop smoking now and lose the weight only $49.99 guaranteed. Seminar times are 8 to 10 p.m. July 28th at the Hampton Inn and Suites in Fishers and 2 to 4 July 30th at the La Quinta Inn and Suites South.
At Diamonds Direct right now, there's nothing standing in your way of owning the piece of jewelry you've been dreaming of. No down payment and no finance charges for 5 whole years on any purchase. Take the amazing Diamonds Direct price you're used to, divide by 60, and that's your payment. It's a smart way to buy. Keep your money in your pocket and still add that amazing ring, band, or bracelet to your collection. Even the upgrade you've been wanting. 5 years, 0 interest on any purchase. Only at Diamonds Direct. Get all the details at diamondsdirect.com. On approved credit.
But if you close your eyes, does it almost feel like nothing changed at all? And if you close your eyes,
You're listening to Kevin and Query on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
22 minutes before 8 on a Monday, a good-looking Monday. How are you? Jake Query, Kevin Bowen, Mark Dykton. It is Kevin and Query here on 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. Kevin, you'd mentioned it, the draft. Obviously, we got kind of a chance to at least discuss the names that the Pacers had added to the roster when we did the show on Friday. But since then, we've kind of gotten to know the guys, I guess, a little bit better. They've been introduced officially here in Indianapolis.
Yeah, that was late Friday afternoon. They made the rounds, a little bit of a IMS stop, St. Elmo. So they kind of did the whole red carpet treatment for them around the city of Indianapolis. There's a quote from Tommy Lloyd. Again, Tommy Lloyd, the Arizona head coach, was with Benedict Mathurin for just one season. Before that was at Gonzaga with Mark Few. But I thought this quote, Jake, really stood out to me, and I think it is something that, knowing your concern over some prospects entering the draft, I would assume it's a quote that you like to hear. I guess the Pacers in Arizona, they did a great job of making Tommy Lloyd available via Zoom. And this quote from Tommy Lloyd on Benedict Mathurin: he doesn't come with many extras. He kind of keeps to himself. Doesn't keep a big group of people he runs with. He really has immersed himself in the process of becoming a great basketball player. I'm going to guess the not a lot of extras, doesn't keep a big group of people he runs with. I'm going to guess with your hesitancy over camps and all of that, you like hearing that.
Listen, I do, and I want to make a couple things clear here, Kevin. First, at times, and it's part of our job, and I get it, and I appreciate it, but there are times where I'd like to say, like, don't shoot the messenger. You know, I sent a tweet out that said, if I'm the Pacers, when I hear that a player refers to having to refer to his camp, then I would go running and screaming the opposite direction. I was talking about Shaedon Sharpe, who, like, during the interview process, as I understand it, was like, well, you know, he seemed like a guy that was basically showing that he was following the lead of other folks in his ear. And it was my understanding the Pacers would have a hesitancy on that, and that turned them off. And so I basically was passing that along. That to be said, I will admit to the fact that for me, I mean, you hear it all the time on this show, Kevin. The guys that I ran with in high school, middle school, and into high school are the greatest treasure and gift of my life. I mean, you know, like I said, I'm not married with kids, but in terms of my social life, like, those are my guys. That's my group. And we are unbreakable to this point, 30 years running, 35, 40 years running. So I get it. I mean, I applaud and commend and appreciate guys that have their crew, so to speak. But there is a difference between having, like, your group of guys that you run with, that's your safety net, and you can be you. There's such a value in that. But I do think that there are a lot of players entering the NBA that the lines are blurred between people that are the guys they ran with and grew up with, and then people that are kind of infecting them a little bit by trying to get in and just be in the inner circle for their own gain. And I think there's a danger in investing in guys that have that many more influences telling them where they need to be or telling them that they are. It's just like the little kid in Little League, right? You had the little kid. Everybody had the little kid in Little League that wasn't a very good player, but his dad was the coach, and so he was the pitcher, and everybody knew that he wasn't the best pitcher on the team, but what was going to happen because his dad was the one pulling the strings? You just don't want a guy on your roster that when you're telling him you need to do A, B, C, and D, the people in his ear are telling him, no, E, F, G, and H, because we're going to get you to the next point. And I think there were prospects that showed that. I'm relieved to know that Benedict Mathurin's not one of them.
You know, to me, Jake, it's less of do you have a camp or do you not. I think in today's climate culture, pretty much everybody does. And I get it. I mean, you're 19 years old. There's a lot of stuff being thrown at you that you would be very foreign to as a professional basketball player in this case. I think the key is to make sure that the motives of those people are the right motives. And I think about this a lot with NIL. You know, the NIL, when these agents are getting involved with, let's take Nigel Pack for an example, I guarantee you that agent is thinking, let's find the biggest dollar and I'm going to get a great cut of that. It's not saying, let's put him in the best situation to where he can get ready for the next level. So I think that is where the Shaedon Sharpes of the world and the Benedict Mathurins of the world can differ a little bit. A couple other comments from Tommy Lloyd that I thought stood out. He said that he's a self-starter, very motivated, never had to set up extra workouts for him. He's not trying to load, manage, or protect anything. I guarantee you he will not feel like he's arrived at this point. So the first thing that I liked about Mathurin and watching him was the athleticism and the shooting. That was like the first thing. But the more that I got to know him background-wise, that is where my infatuation, frankly, and I think our listeners know that full well, came with this prospect, because I really think there are a ton of qualities off the floor that Pacers fans should love. And I think that is what sold the franchise on him. And honestly, Jake, it's probably the first thing Ryan Carr said to us last week when we had him on. It wasn't necessarily his ability to, throw down highlight reel dunks or hit contested shots in the NCAA tournament when they need it the most against TCU in the second round. It was hard work and intensity. Those were the first two things that the Pacers mentioned. For years, I mean decades,
guys, I'll use it in Indiana terms. You know, Courtney Lee played at Pike High School. Josh McRoberts played at Carmel. Mike Conley played at Lawrence North. Gordon Hayward played at Brownsburg. For years, that's how it was identified. And then probably starting certainly before those guys, but now it has gotten to the point where, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but if you look at prospects right now, guys that are juniors in high school and are big-time recruits, big-time prospects, oftentimes they are listed not by their high school, but by their AAU program. So it will say, you know, Indiana is entertaining top prospects so-and-so of the Eric Gordon 17 team or whatever. Or, you know, the Peachtree tournament is... So players used to, Kevin, the point I'm trying to make here, for a very long time, a player's name and profile from a recruiting and elevation of their game and building of their game standpoint happened between October and March for their high school. They represented their high school. Then in the summertime, they accentuated their game by playing AAU basketball. Now a player's profile is largely from their AAU play. That's where scouts are looking at them. That's where players are looking at them, etc. AAU play comes with a lot more interaction with different teams and hopping from team to team to team. It's a different mindset than the high school, the traditional high school play. So it's like literally basketball players have two lives. They have their high school life with the guys that they live in the same school district as and that they try to win championships with, and then they have their AAU, which is going to different tournaments in different states and bouncing around all over the place and whatever else. And there's nothing wrong with either one of them. But in the NBA, what you want when you sign a player, if you are Indiana and you're a middle market team, what you want is a guy that is coming in treating you with the this is my high school team type mentality of I'm here, this is where I am, and I've got to play with these guys, and I'm not looking at other schools because I know that this is the school that I have to play. And not guys that come in and are saying, I'm going to treat this like free agency, where as soon as we get beat by Miami, I'm just going to go ahead and as soon as my contract's up, I'm going to go ahead and sign on with Miami, and then I'm going to go. And Benedict Mathurin seems to be seemingly that guy. He seems to have that mentality. Will he in the long run? I don't know.
Right. To be fair, it's very early in the process, and there is an element of guessing that you are, but I do think if you looked at him compared to some other guys in that top 10 range, there is a feeling of confidence right now that I think should be there. I found it interesting, and Rick Carlisle made this comment on Friday, Jake, and it really stood out to me. He pointed out that at one point last season, I think this was before Tyrese Halliburton's arrival, and I want to say even before kind of Isaiah Jackson started playing more minutes, the Pacers were last in the league in dunks. I don't know if that's a stat you typically hear coaches throw out there a whole lot, but I thought it was a great point that Carlisle made of when I watched the Pacers last year, and again, a lot of this to me was pre-Halliburton, Jake, I felt like they struggled to get easy baskets. When they scored, It was very difficult. It was late in the clock. It was having to run really good offense.
Right.
And just the inability to convert in transition.
As opposed to other teams where it feels like they're just going down.
They're just getting shots at the rim, and they're just easy to, layups, dunks, whatever. Mathurin should help you in the open floor. We'll see how much Kendall Brown is able to play. He needs some development, certainly from Baylor, but he is a guy that is going to be attacking the rim and things like that.
You're not forgetting Fanboy, are you?
Well, Fanboy it sounds like he's one of the Fran Fraschilla 2 years away from being 2 years away prospects.
No. He's
Fanboy, I think he needs to venture to working man's friend a lot. He needs to get some weight on to be able to properly play in the NBA. Just that aspect to this team of making sure that when you do get opportunities for pick sixes, easy buckets, whatever you want to call it, that now they have some athletes to be able to do that. And Halliburton and Nembhard, if that is your point guard and backup point guard moving forward, those are two extremely intelligent guys that should find guys in areas to where easy baskets can be there. So
now
it goes back to a comment I've made often about the Pacers, Jake. And I want to make this very clear. Obviously, the Pacers have NBA players, so their athleticism is in the 1 percentile. But if you compare them to the rest of the NBA, the Pacers are one of the least athletic teams in the league. And these picks, I think, go a little bit to helping that.
The zone, the section where they have like the people that get free tickets that are sponsored by a player. For a long time, it was the G2 zone because it was George Hill and Paul George that were sponsoring it, and then it was Turner's block. Well, it was Roy Hibbert for a while there. Then it's Turner's block. If Myles Turner's not there, I have a suggestion here, and you tell me if this works.
Is it fanboy related?
It's unfortunately fanboy will be up there taking selfies because that's what he does. He's a fanboy. But the backcourt now is going to be Tyrese Halliburton is number 0, and Benedict Mathurin will be number 00, right? You can play on 0 a little bit. I don't know why I'm thinking no, but nothing there. So I'm thinking that you call it the no zone, and it's sponsored by the 2-0 guys. I don't know or the 0 zone. You can't call it the 0 zone, right?
Are you missing the wrong button, Mark?
I mean, it's not great.
But what else is there? I know.
So are they sponsoring it themselves? You said they're sponsoring it. So
I'm not saying they're sponsoring it. I'm saying that would make sense because they're the two faces of the franchise,
Turner's
right?
group moved up to the nosebleeds last year. I kind of liked when they were on the club level to help the environment.
They did kind of put them up there, didn't they?
Yeah.
They're helping the environment. Are they recycling?
The atmosphere.
Actually, because Turner recycles. That's why he's there.
In the arena. Randy wanted us to comment on, and I know you love post-draft press conferences, Jake. Randy wanted us to comment on Kevin Pritchard saying that all 3 guys were ranked in the top 20 by the Pacers. I believe it took 7 seconds into the presser before Kevin Pritchard had uttered a phrase. I cannot believe the draft felt like it did.
Literally every general manager and president ever has said that. It went exactly as we thought.
Like the
front office
old
word salad.
Literally,
bingo drinking game would have had you drunk by the minute into the presser.
The Dallas Mavericks could have drafted Jordan Holes 7th overall in this year's draft, and someone would say it went exactly as we had it on our board.
I'd love to see someone just say, "Can we see your draft board then? Let's see it."
Now, by the way, he's back on IU's staff, Jordan Holes?
He is. He's the director of recruiting. This year in the 2021-2022 NCAA Division I National Championships for all sports, they are completed. There is one school that won 4 national championships, 4 different sports. Would you like to guess said school?
Stanford.
Kevin Bowen? Stanford won 3. Men's gymnastics, water polo, women's water polo, and women's golf. Mark?
I'll say Ole Miss.
Ole Miss. Now, what kind of research have you done?
Mark, none. I mentioned it earlier.
We just mentioned
0.
Ole Miss just won
women's golf and baseball.
Ole Miss is literally that's the second.
You misheard me. I
that's
said
the
Missouri.
That's not Ole Miss.
I know. I said. I'm just kidding.
The hell are you talking about?
Give us a conference.
Big 12 for now.
Texas was going to be the next guy.
Texas men's indoor track, women's tennis, rowing, and men's golf.
I mean, isn't it every year Stanford and Texas, is it the Sears Cup? Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
You add up all the sports.
Is Sears still around for that? Are they going to call it the Roebuck Cup?
Great question.
Florida, by the way, 3, women's indoor track, men's indoor track, and women's outdoor track. Well, where were the men outdoor? Who won the men's outdoor track? Do we know?
They had it all in front of you.
Let's go with LSU.
I do have it all. LSU, no. Here we go. You got
outdoor track?
4 for Texas, 3 for Florida, 3 for Stanford, 2 for Cal, 2 for Oklahoma, 2 for Virginia, 1 for Clemson, 1 for Denver. I think it's University of Denver men's ice hockey.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
Florida State with 1, Georgia with 1, Hawaii with 1, Kentucky with – these are all with 1. Kansas, Kentucky, Maryland, Northern Iowa, North Carolina State, North Dakota State. NAU in men's cross country. Is that Northern Arizona, maybe?
Yeah, that North Central kid went and ran there.
Really?
The guy with the name I'm not going to try and pronounce. First name starts with an F.
That was Northern Arizona?
I'm pretty
Must
sure,
be the
yeah.
altitude is good for running there.
Flagstaff? Does that sound right?
Sure. Northwestern, Notre Dame, Ohio State, Ole Miss, Penn State, South Carolina, Southern California, Utah, Wisconsin.
Good grief.
Now, I'm curious, though, about the men's outdoor track. Who won that?
Well, you look that up. John has been itching to talk Nyheim Hines.
He's been on hold since Thursday.
John, good Monday morning to you.
Good morning, gentlemen. I got to say, bear down, Arizona. It happened, and I'm so psyched that Benedict is coming here. Also, thank you for the shout-out on Thursday. You guys actually made my daughter's day. She actually heard you, and she actually asked me, are they talking about you, Daddy? So thank you.
Okay.
Boy, I love hearing that. John, what are the Pacers getting in Benedict?
They're going to get a great player, an exciting player who's not going to be a lot of thrills, and he's not going to be a lot of highlight reels, let's put it that way, and you're not going to hear much from him. He's going to, like Tommy Lloyd said, he is going to keep to himself for quite a while.
I love it.
But I think we're going to get a good wing player that's going to put up the jumper, contested jumper, the kick out, and he'll drain that 20-foot jumper and such. So I think he'll be an exciting player.
Now, you've got something on your mind about Nyheim Hines?
Yes, I agree with you guys, assuming that the Colts are going to use Nyheim's the way they claim they are. I agree that he's going to lead the team in receptions. My follow-up question is it realistic to expect him to possibly have 2,000 yards from scrimmage and Jonathan Taylor still possibly lead the league in rushing? Is that possible?
No, that is not possible, John. What John is referencing, for those that were not able to come to the night in the fan cave last week, gave out a couple Colts bold statements for the year. And one of them I threw out there was Nyheim Hines leading the team in catches this coming season. Health would be a big reason why you would point to that. Nyheim Hines is yet to miss a game in his NFL career. If Michael Pittman were to get banged up, you would think that Nyheim Hines would have a chance to. Even without that, I think he has the ability to catch 70, 80 balls. Matt Ryan, Jake, this is about a handful of years ago now, I think Devontae Freeman, I want to say, caught like 73 or 75 balls from Matt Ryan in 1 year. I don't think of Devontae Freeman like I think of Nyheim Hines.
Right.
Freeman is much more of a running back.
So what could he do with...
Right. What could he do with more of that versatile, again, gadget guy option? But 2,000 yards from scrimmage for Hines, coupled with Taylor also leading the league in rushing, that's just a little bit too much on the wishful thinking aspect. But again, I am all aboard the Nyheim Hines getting a whole lot of attention this year from Matt Ryan and Frank Reich. And again, it's necessary because you didn't do a ton at wide receiver. You didn't do a ton at tight end this offseason. So I think it's critical to utilize Hines in that fashion.
By the way, what about this? What about, somebody points out to me, what about ozone? If it's Halliburton who's 0 and then Mathurin who's 00.
With a 0 there?
Yeah, but the problem is then you're just using one guy. Unless you put the if you call it the ozone and you have the 0 for the O, and then the O in zone is also a 0, so there are 2 zeros in the name of it, or 1 0 at the beginning, so 1 and 2.
So you don't want the 00 in between the Z and the N. You don't want the zone.
That's not bad either. Ozone.
The Pacers
That's
should
not bad.
really hire.
That's not bad.
Us
That's
for
it. There you go.
consulting.
Ozone with the 2. So 00 in zone, single 0 before it.
So you have the 3 zeros in there.
Correct. So you got all 3 represented, right?
Now,
so
what if O'Shea Brissett raises his hand and says, "What about O'Shea, Ozone? Where do I get involved in this?"
That's an excellent question. Thank you for asking. What you do is you have another section that sings the anthem, and that's the O'Shea Can You See Zone. And that's sponsored by O'Shea Brissett.
3 Canadians on the roster. Do we get the Canadian national anthem before games this year?
Sure. The flag's up there.
We'll talk about that next.
Like copyright and everything, so we can stamp these ideas.
Chris, yeah, I'm sure, boy.
Do we have a copyright attorney listening to the program?
I was going to say, we're going to need to get on that.
We can get your AC needs taken care of on this show, but how about free copyright law advice?
Hey, John Love helped me out right now with that. Chris Denari, TV voice of the Pacers. He joins us next.
School is in session.
Coach Jeff Brom, as you're in the middle of this summer, what do you see out of your players thus far?
For us, I'll just be blunt. It's about getting everybody healthy. In order for us to win at a high level, we're going to need everybody healthy and ready to go. So we're very cautious and careful how we do it. We understand that while coaching is important, the players on the field are more important, and we've got to get these guys healthy and ready to go for game one.
Dan Dockage, weekdays noon to 3 on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
At Family Dollar, we know you want more for your summer. Find everything from grilling supplies and beach toys to deals on your favorite soft drinks. Family Dollar, helping you do more.
Dan Dockage here. Before you grab your clubs and head to the course this summer, learn the ABCD signs of melanoma. Irregular borders or uneven colors on moles, get them checked out. If you've already been diagnosed with melanoma, call for a second opinion. Franciscan Health provides a comprehensive approach to treating melanoma with their team of oncologists, melanoma surgeons, and dedicated nurse navigator, so you're not going at it alone. Download their guide at franciscanhealth.org/cancercare today.
Hi guys, it's Andrew with Pine Grove Medical Clinic. Is erectile dysfunction damaging your relationship? Are you sick of the pill and all the side effects? Well, welcome to the future. We have a major medical breakthrough. Pine Grove Medical Clinic uses the most advanced form of wave therapy. Backed by 60 clinical studies, our technology uses pressure waves to repair and open up blood vessels. We've helped countless men get rid of their ED. But what is the true end result? Their relationship, even their lives, improve drastically. If you're ready to regain your love life, call us right now, and not only will the assessment and ultrasound be free, we'll also give you a gift that produces immediate results in the bedroom. It almost never fails. This is worth $550, and it's free to callers right now. 317-552-1111. That's 317-552-1111. Put a stop to your erectile dysfunction and experience what I call the happiness ripple effect. Call Pine Grove Medical Clinic now. 317-552-1111. Indy 11 is celebrating Independence Day Saturday, July 2nd with downtown's only fireworks show that night after their 7:30 match versus Miami FC at Carroll Stadium. Presented by IBEW Local 481. It'll be great family fun with tickets starting at just $15. Come early for live music by Cam Cole from Apple TV's Ted Lasso show. Get $11 meal deals and $4 Heineken. Then stay late for a fireworks show synced to a soundtrack curated by JMV's Takeover program on B105.7. Get tickets and details at Indy11.com.
Hey tennis fans, with the BetRivers.com sportsbook app, you can smash, slice, and spin your way to big tennis paydays. That's because we're serving up the excitement of live in-game betting, where you can bet on all the action, including point-by-point betting from tournaments around the world. Plus, with BetRivers' award-winning customer service, it's game, set, and match. Download the BetRivers.com sportsbook app. It's a whole new game.
Must be 21. Must be located in Indiana. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-9-WITH-IT. 1-800-994-8448.
Response to Diamonds Direct's amazing finance offer has been off the chart, so we're extending it through this Saturday. You can go into the holiday weekend with some new bling and spread your payments over 5 years with zero interest. Rings, earrings, bands, bracelets, colored gemstones. Pick any item, pay nothing down, and enjoy 5 years zero interest financing. It's the best and smartest way to buy, but you can't wait any longer. This special offer ends this Saturday and will not be extended again. Only at Diamonds Direct. Details and more at diamondsdirect.com. Unapproved credit.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
WIBC HD2 W298BB. WIBC HD3 W228CX. Indianapolis. The Phillies host the Cardinals in a clash of National League contenders. Saturday at 3:30 on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
You're listening to Kevin and Query on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
8 o'clock hour here on a Monday morning. NBA free agency begins Thursday evening. Summer League starts next week. And to dive more into that, Chris Denari, TV voice of the Pacers, is with us here on the Payless Liquors hotline. Chris, good Monday morning to you.
Hey, good morning to you guys. How are you?
Doing great. Going back to Thursday night, I know you were busy kind of with draft parties and things like that, but as you've had time to take a little bit of a closer look at these three prospects, what stands out to you the most about Benedict Mathurin and this draft class?
Well, I think the biggest thing is talent and athleticism, and that's from an athletic standpoint, that's something that the Pacers definitely wanted to improve on. And there's no question when you look at Mathurin and the type of numbers he put up and, his defensive ability and his two-way ability, a guy that can play the 2 or the 3, I think that says a lot. And when you look at the latter 2 picks that they got in the second round, I was just going back through some mock drafts. Andrew Nembhard was typically by many people thought to be a first-round selection, and they got him with the first pick of the second round. And Kendall Brown as well. Some people had him much higher than he went. The Pacers definitely targeted him and were able to move up to 48 to get him. So, what I look at is as you're building a roster and as you're trying to get back to the place that the Pacers want to be, and that's in the playoffs, is you are able to do that through the draft. You've seen a number of teams do that, and if you can back up last year where you got 3, I count Dwayne Washington almost as a draft pick, and he played well, but you had 3 come out of the draft last year, and then you add in somebody like Terry Taylor, and you have 3 out of the draft this year. It sets the table for you over the next few years with the core that you're going to build around.
Chris, when you say athleticism, it got me thinking to Rick Carlisle's comments on Friday when he mentioned at one point last season the Pacers were last in the NBA in dunks. And it's kind of an interesting stat to hear from a head coach, but in a way it tells me like this is a team that recently I think has struggled to find easy baskets. Getting down the open floor, transition, finishing at the rim, those things. And I feel like, yes, athleticism should help this team to where they're not constantly having to rely on, all right, how well can we execute in the half court for 48 minutes?
Yeah, a lot of times you don't want to play against teams' half-court defense, on a regular basis. I mean, it's going to happen. I mean, that's just the way the game is played. But you need to be able to create opportunities off of your defense, get out in transition, finish. Tyrese Halliburton's an outstanding passer. We saw more lobs to Isaiah Jackson once he became a regular than we had seen, as Rick Carlisle said, earlier in the year. So all of those things help you make you a better team, not have to put so much pressure on your half-court offense. And clearly I think we know just watching this team the last 2 years and last year specifically late when the young guys were playing, is this team has to be better defensively, and that's something that they hope these 3 guys will contribute to.
Chris, when Chris Denari is our guest on the Payless Liquors guest line, when the draft, and I think Benedict Mathurin, we can safely say, was a guy that the Pacers obviously had targeted from the get-go, and he was just the one they kind of always kept going back to. But in terms of the way the draft fell, do you believe that the Pacers looked at it and said, we have specific needs and we are going to fill those needs, or did they specifically say, we're just going to list players in terms of how we assess them, and whoever is the best available on that list when our number comes up, that's who we're going with?
Yeah, I think that's what you have to do. I think you sometimes can get into trouble when you start to fill needs, because that person that you're filling the need with might not be the best player. Now, I think, just reading the tea leaves and what Chad Buchanan said after the draft on Thursday, they had some ideas that might have worked out, but at the end of the day, they decided not to go forward with that because they didn't think it was in the best interest of the franchise. And that means either, trying to do something else with a draft pick, trying to move, one of your veterans. They just felt at the time that was not the best scenario. So the draft, as you get into June and July, the draft is a very important piece of what you're trying to do in the offseason, but it's not the only piece. And I think, as you guys said, with free agency starting later this week, that's sort of the second tier. And I think the Pacers are, depending on whatever they want to do, that they're in a good situation because they have some valuable assets that maybe some people will want, and the Pacers may want to keep those assets as they continue to build this roster. But the draft is just a piece of it, and so I think I think you always have to go for, best available player, because you can get into trouble if you start trying to fill needs with a lesser talent.
He's Chris Denari, again, TV voice of the Pacers, and he's with us here on the Payless Liquors hotline. Chris, after the Colts draft, I did this, and then after the Pacers draft, I'm starting to think about it a little bit more. Who is hurt the most by how the draft unfolded? Who is helped the most by how the draft unfolded? If I threw those at you, a couple names stand out to me in both ledgers, but who would you slot into those categories?
You mean from a team standpoint?
Yeah, like currently on the roster.
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting because when Detroit made the trade of Jeremy Grant, I thought possibly that's where a Keegan Murray would fit in. You're losing a veteran power forward who can shoot threes, and I thought they might go Keegan Murray, but they went Jay Ivey, and then they were able to get another first round selection. So what they're trying to do is what teams are trying to do, is through the draft build with some solid young players and try to get back to where they hope to be. So at the top, there's no question that I think Detroit's right there with what they're trying to do. I really haven't looked at teams that I think faltered.
So I guess, Chris, sorry to interrupt, but I worded the question wrong. Pacers roster-wise, who was hurt and helped the most? I said earlier, I thought O'Shea Brissett benefited greatly from the draft in that you really didn't draft a lot of, four guys, if you will. Brissett's got that team option. He seems to be a guy that you need right now. Whereas on the flip side, guys that are hurt, I mean, you've got a logjam in the backcourt. So you look at, Malcolm Brogdon's situation. You look at Lance's situation as a free agent as well. I would slot those guys in the hurt category.
Yeah. I mean, you do have a lot of backcourt players right now, either under contract or, somebody that was a part of your roster last year. I would agree with O'Shea Brissett. I think we're all going to wait to see what Jalen Smith decides. I know he's been in the building. He's been around his teammates. He is a free agent, but I think there's hope that Jalen sees the writing is on the wall, that he's a very valued player with the Pacers organization. So, yeah, there's probably still some work to be done in that front court situation, because you don't know what's going to happen. So I like what you said about O'Shea. I'm a big O'Shea Brissett fan because I think he's pretty versatile. He can play the four. He might be able to play the three a little bit. He shoots the ball well. He's a pretty solid rebounder. So, yeah, with where they are now, with taking two guards and sort of a three who's very athletic, maybe a four. Yeah, O'Shea probably has done himself well. And then I think you're right. In the backcourt, you have a lot of players there right now. And so it'll just be interesting to see what happens here this week as far as what the Pacers try to do or what they want to do as far as their roster is concerned.
Chris, do you believe that, with Malcolm Brogdon and Myles Turner, there was so much talk, and I'm going to make a statement here, and I want you to tell me if I'm completely off my rocker. There was so much talk about Myles, in particular Malcolm Brogdon. I mean, like all of a sudden, Malcolm Brogdon became like this, the sexy must-have trade piece that other teams were vying for. I heard that from a lot of places, but I didn't necessarily get that feeling from within Indiana. Am I totally off base there, or has the time come where the Pacers, nothing against him personally, but where from a playing philosophical standpoint, that it will be best for Malcolm Brogdon to be moved elsewhere?
It's a good question. I mean, part of the thing is he just played in so few games last year. When he did play, I mean, you look at his numbers. I mean, he was nearly a 20-point scorer. His assist numbers were pretty good. His rebound numbers were pretty good. Has not shot the three as well as he did when he was at Milwaukee, but even a couple of years ago, he shot the ball pretty well. I mean, I went back to last year, and again, you just never got to see the total group together, so it was always hard to figure out how they all fit. Halliburton is very comfortable with the ball, but I think he can play a little bit off the ball as well because he's a good perimeter shooter. And Malcolm's sort of one of those guys that can play the one or the two. So it's really hard to say, Jake. I mean, and especially then you go to Myles Turner. I mean, throughout the league, you have heard his name in every trade scenario possible over the last few years, and the Pacers have said, no, we're keeping him. And then they traded Sabonis in February. And so he didn't play in the final almost 40 games of the year, so you didn't get to see him with Halliburton and Hield. So I just think that you go into free agency, I think teams are always listening. I don't know if you're going to go throughout the league, how many players are truly untouchable. I mean, your Steph Curry's, it sounds like even LeBron James, Kevin Durant isn't necessarily untouchable, right? When you read all the tea leaves. So I just think you have to go into this free agency situation and figure out how you can build the best team to build for the short term as you're building it, but also looking to the long term and trying to get back to where you were. And I look at this a little bit like, I just pulled up the roster. 2010-2011 was really a critical draft for the Pacers, and they got Paul George and Lance Stevenson. And I remember standing up on the podium at now Gainbridge Fieldhouse for the draft party in 2010, and I announced that the Pacers had taken Paul George with the 10th pick. Now, remember who went 9? It was another player from an Indiana school and Brownsburg native, Gordon Hayward. And a lot of the people had no idea who Paul George was. Well, he turned out to be pretty good, and the Pacers over the next 4 years had a lot of success. I sort of look at this draft somewhat the same way. I think Mathurin is a tremendous player. And look who went ahead of him, just one slot, a player with an Indiana tie in Jay Nyheim. So, hopefully the Pacers can do what they did back in 2010, and those next 4 years were really good.
Chris, how, I guess looking at the roster right now heading into this week, and again, the free agents, Lance Stevenson, TJ Warren, Jalen Smith, like you said, O'Shea Brissett's got a team option. I believe that's everybody. Ricky Rubio, an unrestricted free agent as well. Do you think that 4 position would be the biggest position of need entering this week? I get we're kind of in a positionless style of basketball, but would you kind of slot maybe that 3-4 hybrid, kind of like a TJ Warren, would be your biggest position of need?
Yeah, when I think about TJ Warren and a few years ago, he probably was the best player on the Pacers team playing that 4 position. He could shoot the basketball. I think he became a better defender than what we saw him in Phoenix. And so, yeah, that's been a position that you're right in this new NBA where players are interchangeable. You still want somebody that has some size and some versatility and maybe at a higher level than a player of O'Shea Brissett or Jalen Smith. But I'm also of the opinion that those are 2 guys that can grow within their role if they're on the roster and still give you very, very good minutes. So that's, we've read, all across the league some of the names that are available or possibly available at that position, and that may be an area where they look to do some work.
Chris, what most excites you about the upcoming Pacers season? I mean, that sounds like a simple question, and the easy answer is going to be Benedict Mathurin, Jake. But what most excites you?
Well, just to see a group get together and hopefully have some good health and not have to have 25 to 30 different starting lineups throughout the year and really make a push to start moving up in the Eastern Conference. Now, I reference back to 2010-11. That was a team that got into the playoffs as the 8th seed. So right now, if you did the same, they'd be getting into the play-in situation. They had a record well under 500, but I would say that the Eastern Conference now is much more difficult than it was probably back in 2010-11. I mean, I look at a number of the teams that did not make the playoffs this year. I mean, Charlotte has Miles Bridges, though he's a restricted free agent. They have LaMelo Ball. You've got a lot of talent in the Eastern Conference. Washington, with Bradley Beal hoping to be healthy. I mean, so many of these teams didn't make the playoffs, but I think they're talented. So I just think I want to see this young group mature in the short term and take the steps necessary in the long term, because I can tell you that nobody in that Ascension St. Vincent practice facility is happy with what's happened the last 2 years. That has not represented what the Pacers have done over the last 10 or 15 years, where they've been a consistent playoff threat. I know they have not won a playoff series since that 2014 season. So you want to see improvement and you want to see movement. And I think with what they're doing through the draft, like I said, I'm really bullish on these last two classes. And I think these guys are going to be really critical to what the Pacers do here in the next few years.
Chris, any word yet on the Summer League participation for Mathurin, Nembhard, and or Kendall Brown?
No, I have not heard that. I know that they will gather later this week and begin the Summer League practices. The Pacers' first game is July 8th in Las Vegas. And I saw this year, every team is guaranteed 5 games. There will be 4 games, and then the 2 top records will meet in the finals. Now, I don't know how they're going to do that with 30 teams. It's got to be based on total points or whatever, because you're going to have a lot of teams with very similar records. They used to have a tournament, but I think what they've done is they capped everybody at 5 games. The top 2 teams will play for a championship, and then the other 28 will play their 5th and final game. So I think all of that information we'll be finding out this week. As far as we've seen some rumblings on who has signed Exhibit 10 contracts, which would make them available for Summer League and then moving into training camp in the fall. But all that information should be coming out here later this week.
Chris Denari, again, television voice of the Indiana Pacers on the Payless Liquors guest line. Chris, we appreciate it. Look forward to talking to you, especially once Summer League and Fanboy. We're excited about the signing of Fanboy and finding out what he can do in Summer League as well.
All right, thanks, guys.
I appreciate it.
Jake, along that front, again, a week from Friday, as Chris said, the start of Summer League. Your boy, our boy, everyone's boy, Fanbo Zeng, Jermaine Samuels from Villanova.
Mm-hmm.
Signed by the Pacers. I thought he'd be one of those guys that could go play tight end in the NFL.
That's right.
He kind of has that body type to him. You remember Eli Brooks from Michigan, one of their guards this past year? I always kind of liked how he played. He also signed by the Pacers. It looks like we'll have a Summer League spot. And Tevin Brown from Murray State. And as you pointed out on Friday, Travion Williams to Boston.
How about that? And people ask me, they're like, did you know something? I'm like, no, I just when the draft was unfolding and I was looking.
You tweeted this out Thursday night.
Yeah,
right?
During the draft, I looked and I'm like, Boston was 3 picks away. And I'm like, Travion Williams feels like a Celtic type player. And they went elsewhere, but then they signed him in Summer League. So I'm excited to see what he can do, because I do think he could be a good player.
And some connections, I think, coaching staff wise. Obviously, Brad Stevens with that Purdue program. And then did you see Sasha Stefanovic where he ended up?
Where did he end up? I know he signed.
The new, Memphis is kind of the new Indiana of the West. I feel like this other team is kind of creeping up to that. San Antonio.
Yeah.
That's where Sasha went. Blake Wesley from Notre Dame and Romeo Langford on that roster as well. So it looks like Sasha Stefanovic and Travion Williams both will get some Summer League chances with the Spurs and Celtics, respectively. Before we get to a morning check down, a little bit of news here from Jeff Rabjohns from Peegs.com. We know there's no Crossroads Classic anymore, Jake, but there will be somewhat of an Indiana flair to Saturday, December 17th at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. You will have Ball State and Illinois State.
Okay.
And then you will have Purdue and Davidson.
Well, that's a battle of red birds, right? Ball State and Illinois State?
That is.
And then what's the other one?
Purdue and Davidson. So any connection there between Boilermakers and Wildcats?
Yeah, they played once, right? Didn't Chris Kramer shut down Steph Curry?
Didn't Ronald Norred shut down Steph Curry?
Maybe it was Ronald Norred that did. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. Maybe they both did.
Now, Illinois State, that's where Andrew Dockich is on that staff. I believe Walter Offutt is also on that staff.
Really? So the kid from Ohio?
Yeah, Warren Central product. So they have
Is that
some
where
Indiana
Walter Off
connections
played
there.
at Ohio, right? Am I wrong in that?
No, I think that's right. I mean, did he start at Ohio State, then go to Ohio, transfer to Ohio, or did he go to Ohio right away?
I might be thinking of, who's the kid from...
Armand Bassett?
No, one more. There's a kid from Brebeuf. This is going to drive me nuts. A kid from Brebeuf that played at Ohio. It was a Sonny
Troutman.
Sonny Troutman, thank you. That's
And then
probably
Brebeuf had those twins, the Bennett brothers. They play. I think one played at Dayton. Isn't Dayton in Ohio close, or Dayton in Wright State?
Well, Dayton's
close?
in Ohio, yes.
Well,
Ohio's in...
Is Wright State
Mark
in
is
Dayton?
shaking his head. Wright State is in Centerville outside of Dayton. Dayton's in Dayton, and Ohio is in Athens, Ohio. And when I was a junior in high school, my parents allowed Brad Fields and I to go to Ohio University for the weekend to visit his cousin. Thank you for bringing up this memory. So it was like our first venture by ourselves to a college campus. We stopped to ask directions near Columbus, and the dude said, "You guys are going to Athens?" We go, "Yeah." And he goes, "Dude, the best acid I ever dropped came out of there." Brad and I are like, "Whoa!" So we go to we get there.
All right,
we drop our stuff off. This is a true story. We drop our stuff off at his cousin's dorm, and then went to some party. And we're at this party, and somebody comes up and goes, "Hey, does your cousin stay in, whatever, like Dykton dorm?" And we're like, "Yeah." And they're like, "You might want to go out there." And the dorm burnt down.
Oh my God.
Totally burnt down. Like there was and
boy, that acid really.
Fortunately, our bags were in a part that did not burn down, but it was a huge deal. It was like, if you look it up, like Ohio University fire 1990, like there it was. Okay.
I just checked my inbox. Did get this from the Indiana Sports Corps. They are partnering with this 2-game event. The Indy Classic will serve as an annual fundraiser for the Indiana Sports Corps nonprofit mission.
Okay. That's pretty cool, though.
Yeah.
Time for a morning checkdown.
The Morning Checkdown. Brought to you by QC Kinetics. Relieving your joint pain at QCkinetics.com. On 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Jake Nate also points out that Foster Lawyer plays for Davidson, and his younger brother, Fletcher, plays for Purdue.
Foster Lawyer is the best. I mean, that sounds like a character out of a... like Trading Places, right?
Michigan State
like Annie?
transfer.
Foster Lawyer, yes.
And his brother will be a freshman.
I put on my ascot, and Foster Lawyer and I yesterday played 18 at the club.
See, I go different ways. I'm the Foster Lawyer. I've arrived. Where are those kids at?
I think it's definitely Jake. I think it's 1,000%. Jake. Stanley Cup heading to Colorado. Jake, sorry about your
With
Lightning.
a big dent, right?
With a dent, yeah.
Kevin, why do you keep apologizing? I'm a diehard Avs fan. How do you not know
you're
this by
a
now?
Calgary Flames fan, so are you like the SEC football fan that just cheers for the Western Conference? Like, is that where you're going with it?
Listen.
Western Conference.
He's like Rob Lowe with the NFL hat on.
Exactly.
I root for all teams.
All about the Shield.
Yeah.
I'm just... my Avalanche fandom goes all the way back to the Nordique days. You know what I mean? Like, I learned French just by listening to them on the radio and stuff like that. But then when they went to Colorado, I'm torn, but nostalgically speaking, I can still see the Nordiques within. So it's cool.
I'm sure it's very clear vision in your
This
mind
guy's a
right
fraud.
What are you talking about?
2-1, the Avs win. That is 4-2 series win for them. 16-4 postseason record for Colorado. That is the second best since 1987, and a hell of a run for the Lightning. Comes to a close. The first time they've lost a series in 1,100 days.
Major League Baseball yesterday, Cubs over the Cards 6-5. It was the Reds over San Francisco 10-3. Philly over San Diego 8-5. Elsewhere around Major League Baseball, the Guardians losing to the Red Sox 8-3. It still sounds weird, doesn't it, to say Guardians a little bit?
Indeed. Did you guys see the brawl? Angels Mariners?
How about did you hear about the pizza?
No.
One of the dudes for the Mariners gets ejected.
Now that you say this, yeah.
And some fan was like, you know what? I feel sorry for him. He's been ejected, so I'm going to send a pizza. And she ordered a DoorDash pizza to go to the stadium with the instructions, like, take it to the clubhouse. And she posted, like, the interactions between herself and the DoorDash driver. And so many people thought it was so cool that they all started tipping the guy, and the guy made, like, a ton of money off of it.
Jesse Winker, former Reds.
That's it, Jesse Winker.
Yeah, that's who it was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I love that.
It is pretty cool, right? I don't know if you like the pizza or not.
College
By the
World
way,
Series.
Oh, go ahead.
Jake, Ole Miss takes home the crown. They beat Oklahoma
Hotty
in
toddy.
the series 2-0. Again, best of 3 series. Ole Miss, and by all accounts, the last team in. Do you think that means like the last at-large berth in?
That's a good question.
I mean, the SEC, I guess they'd send a ton of teams, right?
It's a good question. I would think but weren't they like a favorite once it got to? I mean, I thought Oklahoma was personally, but
yeah, Oklahoma had not trailed until the series finale.
Here's a trivia question for you: what former Indianapolis sports media member is a graduate of the University of Mississippi?
Oh gosh, well, Mississippi State. I certainly know the answer to that one because he'll tell you about it. That would be Chris Hagan.
Well, Hagan went to all. I don't know if you know this or not. He went to 9 of the 12 SEC schools.
He's the one that chants SEC.
That's right.
Like you chant Western Conference. Boy, I have no idea.
I'll let you think about it.
Okay.
I'll give you the answer on the other side.
All right, we'll do that next year. Kevin Aquari, 93.5-107.5, The Fan.
I'm Tom Shane. Growing up in a family of jewelers, I remember looking at gemstones alongside my father. I learned to appreciate their unique beauty and developed an eye for evaluating diamonds, rubies, and sapphires. To this day, I'm still examining gemstones. Throughout the year, I traveled to Bangkok, the gemstone capital of the world, to hand-select only the most beautiful rubies and 16 colors of sapphires for Shane Company. When I'm there, I never select stones on a cloudy day. Only with natural sunlight can I accurately evaluate the color and the stone's brilliance. I also oversee the cutting of each stone to maximize its inherent beauty. That's why our gemstones are more beautiful and vibrant than any other jewelers in town. Come in to find one that's perfect for you. Now you have a friend in the jewelry business. Shane Company and shaneco.com.
It's hard to keep track of all the health information that comes your way, but you still want to make the right decisions. Here's an easy one. Get tested for hepatitis C. It's a leading cause of liver cancer and often has no symptoms. People born from 1945 to 1965 are 5 times more likely to have hepatitis C. The good news is that now it can be cured. Talk with your doctor about getting a blood test for hepatitis C. Know for sure. A message from the CDC.
2022 NBA Draft. The Pacers will really have a new look now.
The Indiana Pacers now on the clock.
With the 6th pick, the Indiana Pacers select Benedict Mathurin.
Giving it up. Oh! And the hammer from Mathurin.
What happens next?
Benedict Mathurin.
Happens here.
I love his style of play and what he can bring.
Your home for Pacers basketball. 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan. You're listening to Kevin and Query on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
In Indianapolis sports media lore, Will Hampton, longtime Wish TV sports director, also worked with me at Channel 6. Great dude. Will, the pride of Muncie, and now graduate of the University of Mississippi, or I guess always a graduate of Mississippi since he went there. Met his wife down Hotty Toddy in Ole Miss. As a matter of fact, I was driving through, 15 years ago, was driving through Mississippi and was rolling up on Oxford and called Will Hampton. I said, hey, I'm driving through Oxford, Mississippi. Didn't you say your in-laws still live there? And he said, yeah, my wife's family lives in Oxford. I go, okay. You need anything from Oxford? I'll be in Indy later tonight. And he said, you're not going to believe this, but it's actually my mother-in-law's birthday. Can you stop and buy flowers for me? I said, sure. So I stopped, bought flowers, rolled up, knocked on the door. Can we help you? Yeah, I'm buddies with Will. I've got flowers for your birthday. Okay. That was in Oxford, Mississippi. Now they are celebrating, surely, the Rebels College World Series Championship.
Now, Mississippi State won it last year, right?
That's right. Yeah, I forgot about that.
So they know what they're doing down there.
Chris Lemonis, right?
Yeah, the former IU manager there.
So, indeed. There you go.
Sorry, I'm scrambling a little bit here with the AC action.
Yeah, what's going on with it? Can you get us to the latest there?
Yeah, I think we're getting some help here. I think your contacts are helping out great.
I love that.
Now, was that a play on words there?
Oh, nicely done. Love heating, man. That's the thing about them. 24-hour on-call maintenance.
I mean, I offered to go bang on some pipes for you over at your house, and you turned me down.
Yeah.
I'm a bit offended.
I offered to go bang on some pipes.
I think this works. Give me a wrench. I can start wailing on this thing.
Now, Derek chimes in here. 1998 Ole Miss grad, okay? Ole Miss was the last at-large team in. They were ranked number 1 in the country at one point early in the season, and then they fell off. He did not think they would make the tournament, and he goes with hashtag OLE Maha. You got that? Hashtag OLE.
Hold on.
MAHA. So instead of Omaha.
That's pretty solid, actually.
Look at that.
Omaha, right?
I do kind of like that.
We need to circle him in on our Pacers
right?
marketing.
Exactly, right.
O-zone with the 2 O's, right? That what we came up with? Because Tyrese Halliburton is 0 and Benedict Mathurin is 0.
So we have 3 total zeros acting like O's.
Yeah.
Now, Greg,
that might be overkill.
Don't bail on us yet, Mark. You have to come with conviction in these meetings.
Yeah.
Gotta play hardball.
God. Greg tweeted at me and said, how long do you guys think this Pacers rebuild will take? He goes, I say they miss the playoffs for the next 4 seasons.
Oh, jeez.
Well, that way they can get Arch Manning, right? Isn't that the whole game plan? Listen, I think that if you look at
4 more seasons, oh my God.
I don't think they're very far away. I mean, listen, a lot of it depends on clearly making sure that you got to hit, right? Benedict Mathurin, if he is what they think he's going to be, and I don't think anybody's expecting, at least I'm not, Benedict Mathurin to come in and become, who's the guy? I can't believe Joe Johnson. Like, can he be a Joe Johnson kind of player that was just kind of a bulldog scorer, can do a couple of things for you? Joe Johnson was probably not a max contract player, but he got one anyway. But Mathurin, if he's that kind of a player, plus Halliburton, of course, all of this is dependent upon health, which is a big thing. I love Isaiah Jackson. I do think that Stick Smith is a big part of it, if you can get him.
We'll get that answer this week, right?
And then
starts
Duarte. And keep in mind, next year you've got that pick from Cleveland.
And I still think you can make something happen this week. I mean, what do you trade Brogdon for? Assuming that you do. I mean, the Pacers have, if you look at, and we'll get into free agency a little bit more as we get closer to Thursday evening. The Pacers are one of, I think it's only 5 teams in the NBA, Jake, that are in a position to go out and sign a player, like in a very good cap situation. I want to say it's around $30 million the Pacers have. In this Kyrie Irving thing, I'm not saying or acting like the Pacers will be directly involved and like they would be the one to get Kyrie Irving, but could they be the third team that gets involved? So now they are getting a player that can be of a big help. Whereas, a few years ago when the Victor Oladipo, James Harden thing happened, the Pacers benefited from that because then they were the third team involved, and boom, they get Karis LeVert out of that deal. Can they get involved in a way like that and add a piece? I think 4 seasons of missing the playoffs is outrageous. Would it be the worst thing in the world for the Pacers to be back in the lottery next year? No, but I at some point you got to learn how to win. And so I would say at most 1, maybe 2 years of missing the playoffs.
So what's the timeline for them being an actual contender, like a top 4 seed in the East? That longer than 4 years?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think you want to be hovering right around making the playoffs this next season. Then I think you want to be in the playoffs the following year. And then I would say 3 years out, you want to be right in that kind of 4 seed range and trending towards the direction of, all right, the pieces are in place here to build something for years to come. Because at that point, guys, that's when Halliburton's reaching the end of his rookie deal. Benedict Mathurin is in the back half of that rookie deal.
That's a big part of it, right?
That's when you've got to make some hard, concrete decisions. And Rick Carlisle, in no way, shape, or form is he going to be wanting to say, oh, yeah, we're good. I'm going to be the head coach here for 6 or 7 years. Let's just coast this tank for a couple more seasons.
So for this success, this upcoming season, you would say be in the play-in game mix, in the top 10?
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to see how this week plays out, but yeah.
Kevin, you also, in addition to keeping an eye on the Pacers, obviously the NFL is a year-round deal as well. What do you anticipate? And I know it's a gray area and not necessarily a rabbit hole you want to go all the way down, but based on precedent, if there is any, the disciplinary hearings for Deshaun Watson are this week, or they begin this week. This is a fascinating thing to me because you have a player who's been accused of some very gross things, but yet a grand jury investigation did not find it to have enough evidence, not saying that that means he's innocent, but that they did not feel that they would have enough evidence to try him. So he has not been officially charged with anything, but he has settled in 20, I believe, of 24 cases. He did reach settlements. And so the question that I would have for you would be, what would you anticipate that his potential penalty might be? Is there any way to know that?
Boy, it's a great question, Jake. I think I said to you guys last week, and I think this was pre-settlement, that Vegas had the over-under of 7.5 games for Watson to be suspended for this coming season. Now, you guys both thought the entire year, correct? And I don't know if the settlement stuff has changed anything for either of you two. I don't know, maybe this is just how precedent works with these sorts of situations. And I get it. Watson's case is each case is its own, individual elements to it, and, how popular the player is and all sorts of those things, what it looks like in the court of public opinion, all of that. I just feel like we oftentimes see an original punishment of, let's throw out a number of 10 games, and then it gets appealed, and that gets brought down to
correct, yeah,
6 or 8, and I just feel like that's kind of what will happen with Watson. And again, it seems like I'm a little bit on the low end. A lot of people, I think, believe that this is going to be a year-long ordeal, and it's going to stay as a year-long ordeal, which would be vastly different from how the NFL usually operates. Granted, this is a pretty unique case. I'll go with 8 games when it's all said and done.
8?
I'll say it starts at 10 and gets brought down to 8.
Okay, I'll say starts at 12, gets brought down to 10.
Now, so do you think the settlements has caused you to kind of rethink and saying instead of a full year, it's now brought down to 12? Or do you look at the settlements and say, clearly he did something here and money's talking?
I think it's 2 things. I think the settlements, you could say the settlements help or hurt. I don't know which way to look at that. To me, it's more so, do they factor in that he did not play last year?
But he got paid.
He did.
That's a big deal.
And he got paid in Cleveland. They need to, if you're the NFL, here's the thing, the NFL is a lot of talk. NFL talks a mean game, right? Oh, we're going to stand up for this and stand for that. The NFL stands for a lot of things that they've never actually gotten out of the chair about, right? A lot of talk. They got to show it now, right? I mean, the NFL, women is a huge part of the NFL's audience. Since the NFL is the 800-pound gorilla. You know why? Because 15 years ago, they figured out how to, via fantasy football, grow. And I'm not just saying that. I'm not saying women never had an interest in football, but there was an increased number of women that began watching football because they joined their husband's fantasy football league, etc. And then all of a sudden they started watching it. Now they have an interest. And the NFL has instituted a lot of different policies that are designed to appeal to beyond its core original audience. but they stand to lose a lot of those if they don't draw a pretty clear line here.
Now, the disciplinary officer here is a woman, correct?
Is that the case?
I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
And then Goodell would then oversee the appeal. Is that right? Because I know they've changed up some of the hierarchy of punishment, if you will.
It used to be, who was the kind of the punishment czar that used to rule on all these things?
I felt like Troy Vincent was involved in some of this.
That sounds right.
Maybe that's a little bit recent. But I think the NFL is kind of third-partied some of it, which then I'm like, wait, so then Goodell gets to handle the appeal aspect to it, so then ultimately he is the one deciding this? But I would think something is going to happen here, certainly before training camp. So
now the other question is, what kind of player is Deshaun Watson going to be? I mean, he hadn't played in a year, and theoretically it's going to be a year and a half. I mean, he's a talented guy. I don't think there's any question about that. But does this rattle him at all? Does this, does it change the way he plays?
And Denny brings up an interesting point as well, Jake. What about Calvin Ridley suspended for a year for gambling versus what Deshaun Watson's done?
Yeah,
it's the interesting line of the morality of what Watson did versus the integrity of the game versus Calvin Ridley.
Yeah.
And how that looks. So I think it's going to be, I'll say 10-8, but I'm going off of more of just the past precedent of the NFL.
Now, wouldn't it be ironic if the NFL and one of their partnered apps had an over-under on number of games?
Well, they do, don't they? Well, at least I guess I don't know.
So the NFL, who has suspended a player for a year for gambling,
I don't know if it's a sponsored
partnership with an app that is wagering on what a guy with sexual assault allegations is going to be suspended.
Yeah, that
feels a little bit slippery.
That's a little awkward.
It could be. That's not one I'd be comfortable putting some money on.
Well, hey, if you got a voice at the league office, Mark, we're all here to win money.
It's true.
Jake's a degenerate over here with his Texas.
I know. Yet he was the one that sent me the
worried about
1-800-9-WITH-IT the other day.
Mark,
when I said I bet on the NBA draft.
Mark, you sit and watch games, and you're like, oh my gosh, how long is it going to take the kid to get the replacement football out there on the field? I got to wager on it. 1-800-9-WITH-IT.
Okay. I threw this $2 bet on this random bet thing. Oh, it hit. Oh, I got to.
You know what I did do? Late Saturday night, got back. Again, we went to Monon 30, which is a very cool area. I'm really hoping it takes off at 30th and the Monon. They're trying to revitalize that area. It's a 5-year project to put in entertainment districts, eateries, condos. And the thing I love about it is that area of the city is a food desert. And so they're thinking about putting in like a farmer's market so that the people living in the area have a place to grocery shop. So it was very cool. Went to a concert there Saturday night. Got home, and I'm flipping the channels, and the UFC's on. Now, Mark, you seem like a UFC degenerate, are you?
No.
Okay, just wrestling?
Yeah.
Okay. And there was some...
You can bet on that too, by the way.
What's that?
You can bet on that too.
On wrestling?
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's the dumbest thing ever.
Well,
bet on fake wrestling.
Well, these two fellas were coming
Pays
out.
If you know what you're doing.
And one of them, I said to myself, I like the way this guy's. I could just tell. I'm an expert in body language, and this guy's body language. I mean, this guy's going to win. So I got on my.
Gosh, you are degenerate.
I got on my freebie app, and I thought I'm just going to go for it here. And I have a fairly decent kitty that I've built up, never to $1 of my own, and so. I thought I'm putting a significant amount here on this fella because he looks confident, and he was a 2.5 to 1 underdog.
Mm-hmm.
Well, guess who won?
Yeah. See, my bets are like $1 to $2.
Ching.
You're throwing in like, I threw 40 down on a whim. No big deal. I'm like, that sounds like a problem.
It's not my money. All I do is I wait for these promotions where it's like, pick the Saints plus 175 points. Okay, I'll do that.
I did a $10 futures bet, and I'm like, that seems like a lot of cash to
I have
throw
a feeling when I finally cash out, they're going to be like, hey, man, this is all Monopoly money. You haven't, none of this is yours.
Right. We'll give you a gift card moving forward. That's what you get.
I've never used a single dollar of my money.
I threw a $10 futures bet on all division winners in the NFL, and I'm like, $10, man, that's a lot. And Jake's like, oh yeah, no big deal. $40 on this random
you did
dude I never heard
on all 8 of them?
Yeah.
Wow.
What's it pay?
Over $3,400 if it all hits. I don't think they're that much long shots. Bills, Bengals, Colts, Chargers, Cowboys, Packers, Bucks, Rams.
Who'd you go with in the AFC North?
The Bengals.
It's the Bengals. It's not
okay.
The Bengals is a band.
Okay, come on.
Alex
Let's
Golden.
not go down that road again.
Talking Pacers draft, Pacers free agency in 10 minutes.
You don't want to go down that road.
Bowling, 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 keep them balls a-rolling. Bowling, bowling, bowling. Royal Pin.
Royal Pin Entertainment is the place to be. They have 3 locations in Indy, plus enjoy mini golf, laser tag, and arcades. Visit the Royal Cafe, stocked with a full menu of all the essentials, and 2 full-service bars at each location. Royal Pin Centers are perfect for family outings, an evening hangout, or date night. It's easy. Just reserve your lane online at royalpin.com to skip the line. For more information, call 465-8484 or visit royalpin.com.
Set them up, knock them down, send them flying, spinning round.
Call 465-8484 or go to royalpin.com.
Royal Pin, bowling, bowling. Royal Pin, bowling.
NASCAR and IndyCar action return for Brickyard Weekend at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Saturday, July 30th, catch a doubleheader featuring the NTT IndyCar Series Gallagher Grand Prix, followed by the NASCAR Xfinity Series Pennzoil 150. Then Sunday, the 31st, the NASCAR Cup Series Verizon 200 at the Brickyard. Experience the roar and power of NASCAR and the speed and precision of IndyCar in one exciting family-friendly race weekend. Kids 15 and under get in free. Get your tickets now at ims.com.
QC Kinetics. I was talking to Charlie last week at Night in the Fan Cave, and he was helped out by QC Kinetics getting some joint pain fixed in his knee. And this is something that can help all of us. We know summertime is where we're going to get out and about and moving. If you've got hip, knee pain, back pain, shoulder pain, it sucks the fun out of living. But QC Kinetics is helping people get the fun back with advanced regenerative treatments from local medical professionals right here in Indy. This is in-office, non-surgical treatment that can repair and restore damaged tissue in your joints, giving you real, lasting relief from pain. QC Kinetics, they've got locations in Eagle Creek and Greenwood, and they can help you out with a free consultation and get you back moving and enjoying life pain-free. No surgery, no drugs, and no downtime. Call QC Kinetics today, 463-235-7160. Again, locations in Eagle Creek and Greenwood. That's 463-235-7160.
Hey, it's JMV. Sometimes, too many times, bad things happen to good people. Good people get hurt or killed through no fault of their own. That's where Tony Patterson at Parr Ritchie Law Firm can help. Tony understands because he spent his career helping people just like you put their lives back together. He was honored by Best Lawyers as 2020's Indianapolis Personal Injury Lawyer of the Year. See if Tony can help you. The call is free, 317-269-2509, or visit parrinjury.com, P-A-R-R injury.com today.
Here's what's happening with the Fan.
Hit the links at the Dan Dockich Annual Tom Dockich Memorial Golf Outing, presented by Franciscan Health, July 18th at Golf Club of Indiana. Call your buddies and register your team today. Remember to follow the Fan on all of your favorite social media platforms. The Fan is on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Like and follow the Fan to stay up to date on all of our giveaways and all things sports.
For more info, click on 1075thefan.com.
Join Mark Patrick seminars and stop smoking now without cravings, irritability, weight gain, or your money back.
Totally changed my life.
It's amazing. I don't have any cravings. You want to quit, but have found it impossible? This is the thing for you. I have absolutely no craving. It's the darndest thing I have ever seen in my life.
It's not for entertainment. It's for results.
Do it. It works. Period.
You've tried everything else. You need to come and try this.
Only $49.99 guaranteed. Because don't just cut down, but stop smoking. In addition, use hypnosis to lose all the weight and destroy unwanted cravings. Seminars Thursday, July 28th at the Hampton Inn and Suites in Fishers. Weight loss seminar 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. Stop smoking seminar 8 to 10 p.m. And Saturday, July 30th at the La Quinta Inn and Suites South in Indianapolis. Weight loss seminar 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Stop smoking seminar 2 to 4 p.m. More info at markpatrickseminars.com.
Hey, join me today. I Back and better than ever, refreshed and ready to go. Getting ready to break down the Pacers draft, the NBA draft, and of course get in some Colts talk. Join me today.
It's Kevin and Query on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Talk some Pacers draft and free agency coming up here in a few minutes with Alex Golden. He's been all over the draft coverage, so looking forward to getting his thoughts on Benedict Mathurin, among others there. We talked about this a little bit on Friday, but obviously we're mainly focused on what the Pacers did draft-wise. Arch Manning commits to Texas. That is a Texas team that has won double-digit games one time in the last 11 seasons. They are led by head coach Steve Sarkisian. That, to say he's had a couple of off-the-field questions would probably be an understatement there. And so I was trying to think of, where the Manning family gets the Sark endorsement. Because one thing Peyton and Eli related, while Peyton and Eli went to different schools, they were coached by David Cutcliffe at both spots. So clearly Cutcliffe had the Manning pulse, if you will. And if you look at Arch Manning and going to Texas, again, Steve Sarkisian, their head coach, guys, I'm starting to think the guy that might have given a little bit of sign-off on this, or at least a strong recommendation, was Matt Ryan.
I've heard that.
Steve Sarkisian has little to no NFL history. He has little to no overlap with the Manning family, probably closer to no in terms of coaching stops. He's coached at USC and Alabama, and now he's at Texas. He was the Falcons offensive coordinator, though, 2017 and 2018. And remember, when Matt Ryan decided, or I guess kind of gave the green light to Atlanta and Indianapolis for this trade, he talked to Peyton Manning. I think there is a pretty close relationship there. I don't know, maybe I'm grasping for something here, but I would assume Matt Ryan's endorsement of Steve Sarkisian had to have played a factor in Arch Manning going to Texas. I don't think this is strictly just NIL here.
I think two things. The NIL, by the way, how about the kid at Miami? Just got $9.5 million. Come on.
Could retire already.
Yeah. Listen, I applaud. I stand up and loudly applaud the Manning family for seemingly allowing Arch Manning to do this on his own, right? Like, you go where you want to go. And they did that. I think, Peyton Manning had the same thing, right? Like, he didn't have any connection to Tennessee when that's where he opted to go. But I remember asking a couple of years ago, if you were Arch Manning and you had to go to a place where you could be a football player at a strong program but out of the shadows of the Manning footprint, that's where it becomes tough. You can't, if you're trying to get out of the shadows of the Manning footprint, you go anywhere in the state of Florida, and it's like the whole Peyton Manning, Tennessee, Florida thing. You go Ole Miss, you got your dad. Anywhere in the SEC, there's going to be the connection to, you're going at least twice to go play schools that your dad or your uncle played for. Texas is a big-time program in a warm weather climate that it's one of the few areas between, you couldn't go play in Colorado because Peyton's in Denver. You can't go play in, there are so many areas where the Manning footprint is so deep. So I think it allows him the best to his ability to be able to just go and kind of grow his own wings. I think it's kind of cool.
And I love this for college football. I think it's great when Texas is
totally
near the top,
agree.
And their fandom and just all of that.
I've always kind of liked Texas.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I have someone, Jake, that wants the Colts to trade back in every single draft between now and when Arch Manning is eligible. I don't know if you can trade out for those draft picks. 2026, I believe, is the eligible draft for him. But then when 2026 is around, he believes the Colts will have enough draft capital to then move up and take Arch.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
That's the other one. March for Arch. That's our other copyright.
They're
thing
probably
no. Parch for Arch.
They're probably
Arch,
the
like
only.
thirsty?
They're
Arch
the only
for Arch.
team that's thinking this out, right?
Well, also, like, even if that team is there at 1 overall, if they need a quarterback, they don't care what you're going to give them.
You think when Arch Manning is playing 3 years at University of Texas, that there aren't people that are just thirsting for him to end up with the Texans?
Hey, hashtag Parch for Arch.
Okay.
I'll go March for
Start it
Arch,
now.
and we'll see who sells more shirts.
Should we do the marketing stuff on the side? Or
We should, really.
Okay.
You got 19 air conditioners calling you. I'm sure we can get some copyright people to get on the line.
You should have mentioned you need a car warranty, Kevin.
Yeah.
Kevin Bowen needs a car warranty.
Boy,
Somebody give me a chopper so I can get home
He
quicker.
needs help with his student loans.
Jake, the Love family, just all over it here on this
Hey,
Monday
man,
morning.
I'm telling you, Love Heating and Air. Love-HVAC.com.
I absolutely
24-hour
love it. I
on-call
will
maintenance.
Give you the rundown tomorrow.
It's the reason they've been around for over 100 years.
If and when. Oh, yeah, we do need a... let's do that to close out the show.
Okay.
Alex Golden next. Pacers draft. Pacers free agency.
School is in session.
Jason Benetti, the pitch clock. That's just going to happen.
If you didn't want to do the pitch clock, you could put a little moat around the mound.
Yes.
Tiny little crocodiles. Think about the pressure for the guy who's in charge of opening and closing the tiny little moat.
Yes.
You don't want to get it wrong.
You can get 1,000 in a row right, but it's one. It's
Somebody's getting a toe bitten off. We don't want to see that.
Dan Dockage, weekdays noon to 3 on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Hey, it's JMV. Race Trash Services, the largest independent recycling and waste solutions provider in the Indianapolis area, and right now, they're looking for great people to join the team. Ray's is a family-operated business and has been providing Central Indiana with industry-leading recycling and waste disposal solutions since 1965. They focus a lot on the culture to make it a great place to work. Go to raystrash.com to see the career opportunities waiting for you. That's raystrash.com today. Ray's, your recycling and waste solutions partner.
At Eskenazi Health, our patients are treated with compassion and skill. That's why Eskenazi Health is looking for professionals who share our mission and are dedicated to serving the community. As an employee of Indiana's top hospital for social responsibility and community health investment, you'll enjoy excellent benefits, competitive pay, and unwavering leadership support. Learn more about Eskenazi Health careers online at eskenazihealth.edu/careers.
Hey, it's JMV, and guys, if you've noticed a lack of energy, motivation, and drive, it could be low T. Schedule your complete health assessment at Low T Center. They now offer the convenience of monitored self-inject at-home testosterone treatments for just $155 a month, cash pay, or covered by most health insurance. If you don't live near a Low T Center or you just need the convenience of a home treatment, Low T Center makes it easy. Only your first 2 visits are in person. Go to lowtcenter.com now to book online. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
WIBC HD2, W298BB, WIBC HD3, W228CX, Indianapolis. The NTT IndyCar Series races on the road course at Mid-Ohio. Sunday at noon on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
It's Kevin and Query.
We'll have some classes at times.
Hey, we're calling the plays, all right? Hey, we gotta run the ball. It's down there. Pass, watch. We'll run the ball. Can we run it down there? Just play. We run it down. Yeah, Jeff. Okay, so we will. All right, we're going to call pass plays. Block.
On 93.5
Boom, baby.
and 107.5. The Fan.
It was pointed out to me, by the way, and it's a good point, when I was talking about Arch Manning, Texas is now an SEC school, which I guess is true. But it doesn't, it's not like it has the embedded SEC rivalries and connections the way the other schools that he would have attended were.
I mean, I don't think they're an SEC school for a couple seasons, right?
Well, by the time he's playing, though, right?
I mean, he's going to be freshman there next year. I thought it was like 2024, potentially 2025.
Is that what it is?
Because the TV contract, I don't know. I think there's a lot more to clear.
2025 is when they'll join officially.
With that. No, I would agree on that front there. All right, let's head to the Payless Liquors hotline. Pacers draft and Alex Golden from Setting the Pace. We've had on quite a few times here over the past month or so. He's been terrific in his draft coverage. Alex, just in general, Benedict Mathurin and what you thought of the Pacers draft.
Man, Benedict Mathurin was a dream come true for me. That was obviously somebody I know you loved as well, KB. So I felt like the whole time it was hard to figure out where Mathurin was going to go, because at first it felt like he could easily be there at 6, and then it sounded like there was a lot of buzz from Detroit he could go there at 5. So I just want to say I think with Keegan Murray going 4, it really played out perfectly for the Pacers. And I love Benedict Mathurin. I love what he's had to say. I'm sure you guys have heard what he said about LeBron James and stuff like that. So I love his confidence. I love his swagger, and I love that he wants to be here. I was really hoping that Kendall Brown would be there for pick 31. This is a guy that I had 18th on my big board when I was making my list of guys that I wanted. I just believe in his upside. When we didn't take him, we took Nembhard. I was a little bit surprised just because I was thinking another point guard. Do we really need another point guard? But you don't want to have a Brad Wanamaker situation like you had again last year. So I think he's a perfect third-string point guard that can be groomed into a backup point guard. And then you go out and get Kendall Brown as well, trade up for him with Minnesota. I was actually just so impressed with what the Pacers did with this draft. Obviously, they didn't make any trades in terms of trading anybody on the roster, but out of the players they got, I really like the core they got here.
Do you have a good, or someone that you think is kind of a good NBA comp for Mathurin? I think when he got drafted, and boy, that draft coverage was something to watch. I want to say Karis LeVert and OG Anunoby were the two names mentioned. The Anunoby one I don't really love. I don't think that is apples to apples. But do you have an NBA comp that you like for Mathurin?
Yeah, I mean, it's been all over the place. People talk about him. I kind of like the Oladipo one, but he's bigger than Oladipo, so maybe a bigger Oladipo because he's got that upside defensively. He's quick.
But doesn't he have a much better jump shot than Victor?
Yeah, he does. It's really hard to kind of find the perfect comp for him because, like, his stroke is really smooth, and he really gets up in the air when he shoots the ball. So he's a lot thicker in terms of, muscle-wise, in my opinion, than Victor was coming out of college as well. So, yeah, I think it's kind of a hard person to compare him to, but the OG Anunoby stuff, like I didn't hate it actually because I don't think he's the same type of player, but got a similar body to him, so I could see where they kind of went with that, like if they were going by like height and weight and stuff like that. But in terms of gameplay, no, I don't really see that. I don't think he's necessarily the defensive player that OG is, and offensively, I think he's got more in his bag than Anunoby as well.
All of this is really kind of a moot point because once the G League Ignite sign that they just made and Fanboy gets out on the court, then all else is forgotten because this guy's going to take over the league. Between selfies, of course.
Start erecting the statue.
That's right. Here's my question regarding the roster. Alex, we mentioned this earlier. Kevin asked a really good question of what player on the Pacer roster was the big winner after the draft. The other side of that would be, give me the player that was watching the draft that once the Pacers brought in their 3 new faces in the pace car, thought to themselves, I'm not real comfortable with where things stand for me.
Yeah, I would say on the last one there, the first person that comes to mind is Lance Stevenson. He was already kind of on the outside looking in my opinion. I thought he could maybe be the 14th, 15th man, but now with another backup point guard, you kind of got that taken care of. Another wing player, a position he could play. There's just not going to be a lot of opportunities for him to play there, and they could probably focus more on getting some front court depth. I think that Isaiah Jackson and O'Shea Brissett have to be the happiest right now that there's no front court players really taken in this draft. I mean, you can maybe play Kendall Brown at the 4 some if you need to, but most of the guys you got were, a point guard, a shooting guard, and a small forward. So to me, that's where I'm thinking, the backcourt, it seems pretty stocked right now. They obviously need to make some trades. And if it wasn't already a foregone conclusion, I think now everybody knows there's very little hope for Malcolm Brogdon to be on this roster next year as well.
Alex Golden, again, at Alex Golden NBA on Twitter. He's with us here on the Payless Liquors Hotline. When you look at this week for Brogdon, Alex, last week when you're thinking about deals for him, obviously draft pick is what first comes to mind. Is that still the thinking this week, if and when you do move him, is now you're thinking 2023 draft pick? Or are you thinking now a little bit more of a, hey, can you get a younger asset that, is 23 years old and kind of aligns on he's already been in the NBA, but still can be in the Halliburton timeline?
Yeah, I think I would look for both, to be honest with you. And I know some people, were a little upset that he wasn't traded on draft day. I felt like, honestly, there was a little too much smoke with him in terms of how much he was brought up in rumors. I mean, I think it was somebody bringing it up almost every 5 hours. It almost seemed like there probably wasn't going to be anything out there for him. I think the most prolific name that was traded during draft day was Kemba Walker. So I think the point guard thing is really going to be shuffled up here with the Kyrie Irving news with Brooklyn, wherever he lands. And then you've got Jalen Brunson, whoever ends up getting him, if that's the Knicks or not. And then you also have to look at guys like Anthony Simons and Colin Sexton. These are all players that I think could have more value on the open market than a Malcolm Brogdon because, he's got those 3 years left on his deal, and he's an injury-prone player that only played 36 games last year. So for me, I think the Pacers made the right move not trading Malcolm Brogdon right away. I think if they just kind of hold still and wait to see what team misses out on one of these point guards, then they can pounce, and that team might be a little bit more desperate. But I'm keeping my eyes on the Knicks in case I miss out on Brunson because with the trade they made with OKC, getting multiple first-round draft picks for next year, I think that could be something really enticing to get back in a deal because next year's draft class is supposed to be loaded. I haven't really dove into it too much yet. I know there's a set of twins that are supposed to be really good that are coming out. So, but I'm excited to see, what the Pacers do with Brogdon. But I think getting a draft pick maybe from the Knicks or two for next season could be really beneficial to try to keep building this team up with this young core.
I just have this feeling that like Malcolm Brogdon and Buddy Hield are going to be on the roster next year, and they're going to take valuable minutes away from Halliburton, Mathurin, and Duarte. And I guess that's a little bit of a slap in the face of Buddy Hield. But I get it. There's probably a good chance that one of them will still be around. But I think for long stretches next season, you have to play that trio together, and that would be Halliburton, Duarte, and Mathurin.
Yeah, I personally think all three of those should start, in my opinion. I think you have to bring Buddy Hield off the bench with T.J. McConnell and figure the rest of that second unit out. But, I would be more surprised if Buddy Hield was moved than Malcolm. I just feel like Rick Carlisle really liked Buddy Hield, and he's close with Halliburton, and the young guys all seem to really like him. When we've had a couple of them on the podcast, they've really enjoyed his energy as well. So, it's one of those things where it's just like I personally feel like Brogdon is the guy that has to go, and if you keep him on this roster, I get it. Maybe you try to build up some of that value before the trade deadline, but at the end of the day, I just feel like let's rip the Band-Aid off. Let's move forward. Let's let these young guys develop because that's your core moving forward. It's kind of like back in 2010, 2011 season when Jim O'Brien was fired and it started Paul George finally kind of went towards that youth movement. Tyler Hansbrough's in the starting lineup now. Then they start clicking and make the playoffs against the Bulls, and we're semi-competitive. I think that's what you need to do here with this young core. Let them play together, let them develop together, make those mistakes together, and don't have too many veterans in there clogging up that rotation. 1 or 2 is fine, maybe 3, but when you get 4 or 5 veterans in there, I feel like that could be a little bit too much in terms of developing the young chemistry that you're trying to build with.
Here's the thing for me, Alex. Mm-hmm. With Malcolm Brogdon, I want to go back to this. Listen, I don't dispute that he's probably on the market now, right? But what realistically do you think is an expected return for him? I was a little bit incredulous when I was hearing reports on draft night. Like, I think there was this expectation like, oh, they'll just flip Brogdon for a 10 pick. And I'm like, wait a minute, like, when did Malcolm Brogdon become this coveted piece that other teams were lining up for? And it kind of, to me, it looked like, in fact, he's not. And that's why he's still on the roster. Am I hallucinating here?
No. And I think there was just so much smoke out there, like I was saying. Like, that's why it didn't feel real. Like, was it the Pacers putting out all this information trying to drive up the asking price for Brogdon? Because if they would have gotten the 10th or 11th pick for him, he would have been dealt yesterday, right? So there's no doubt about it. I think when you look at Malcolm Brogdon, like, when he was brought to Indiana, he wasn't brought to be the lead guard. He was brought in here to play alongside Victor Oladipo and be a complementary piece to him and kind of be that stability at the point guard. But because of all the injuries the Pacers had faced, Brogdon kind of became that guy. And I don't know if that kind of, changed how Brogdon approached things, where he maybe got a little bit more confident in himself and thought he should be more of a lead guy than a secondary guy. But he was brought in here to be a secondary guy, and I think because of all the injuries and everything, he's had to be the best guard on the team. And that, to me, is not his perfect role. I think his perfect role is that complementary piece. And so wherever he gets traded, that's what you're looking to get back in a package. I mean, I always go back to Karis LeVert. This is a guy that had some pretty scary stuff happen 2 seasons ago, having removed that cancer, and then comes back and plays pretty well, but he just has a particular game that didn't fit with what the Pacers were doing, and he had injury stuff all last year as well. So he got, that really important pick 31, and then a lottery protected pick. I think you could get a similar package or better for Brogdon, but at the same time, Cleveland was really keen on getting him. So it's going to take a team in that same situation that is just laser focused on Brogdon. If, plan A doesn't work or plan B doesn't work, whatever. If Brunson doesn't work for New York, then maybe they're after Brogdon. If Brunson leaves for New York, what does Dallas do? Do they try to work out a trade with the Pacers to get a Brogdon to play next to Luka Doncic? Does Brooklyn somehow, if they lose Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant says he'll stay, they try to find a formidable piece next to him? Do they go out and get a Brogdon? I think everything's going to just kind of have to be a chain reaction in terms of these point guards ahead of Brogdon on that tier. And once those players fall into place with their teams, that's when I think Brogdon will become a very valuable asset. But right now, I think his value is a little bit less than what a lot of fans think it should be.
Yeah, it's like, we're the only people that realize his medical situation here in Indiana. I think other people can see how many games he's missed. Writing for 8 points in 9 seconds and the podcast Setting the Pace. You guys had Isaiah Jackson on last week. Did I see that, Alex?
Yeah, we did. We had him on last Tuesday. Yeah, it was a fun interview. Isaiah's a great kid, and I can't wait to see what he becomes, because I think there's a ton of potential there. And, he's pretty confident in himself, but he's also very humble and very laid back. So I like that even killness to him. But, yeah, he's a really great interview and a really good kid.
Yeah, I'm a big fan. I know Jake obviously is a huge fan, and I think he's got a ton of potential as well. Okay, free agency, Thursday evening, 6 o'clock. That's when it begins. By all accounts, it's a pretty weak free agency class. The Pacers are one of about a handful of teams that can make moves, absorb cap space, however they wish to kind of operate here in the next week. Kind of a plan of attack. I think last Monday or last Tuesday, whenever we had you on, we probably asked you a similar question draft-wise. If I threw that to you free agency-wise with your in-house guys and then your out-of-building guys, how would you like to see the Pacers operate?
Yeah, in-house guys, the only person I'm really keen on bringing back is Jalen Smith. All the other free agents here on the roster that I can think off the top of my head, I think they're easy to part with. I think T.J. Warren is a bit of a wild card. Depending on what you have to pay him, I think he'd be someone I'd be willing to give another shot to. I know it probably is, not what everybody wants to hear, but if it's a cheaper deal, if he can play really well, then maybe you flip him. Or I wouldn't be mad if they were able to orchestrate a sign and trade with T.J. Warren for a team that might be interested in going after him as well. Because if he's healthy, I think he could be good, but he's not been healthy for 2 years, so you can't really say that. So I would lean more towards him not being here. Obviously, like I said, Lance, I think he's in a little bit of trouble in terms of coming back on this roster. Ricky Rubio, obviously, he's dealing with an injury. You're not really worried about that. Other than that, I think out-of-house guys, there's a lot of intrigue there for me. Miles Bridges is a name that Jake Fisher had connected to the Pacers once again. I don't know what the Pacers are going to do if they get Miles Bridges, because Ben Mathurin already has 00 and Tyrese has 0. So I don't know if we can go 000 here and just become the binary backcourt or whatever. But it's going to be interesting here to figure out exactly what they do. I like going after. I like paying him potentially a max deal if you have to in Bridges, but I want to see how Herb Simon approaches all this restricted free agency, because we know that he's not someone that likes doing that, and he's traded future picks to make a deal with like the Bucks to get Brogdon. So I'm kind of curious to see if they were to go after maybe an Ayton or a Bridges, what they would do. But other than that, I don't really know what else what else is really out there. I think a lot of stuff could happen via trade more than it could free agency.
Do all 3 draft picks make the roster?
Yeah, I think they do. I think Kendall Brown's going to get in there as that 15th man. I believe in his upside, and with where they're at, I can see him maybe being a two-way player more than he is on the 15-man roster. But I do think that they like his upside, and they just don't really have a lot of players that can fill that position of need in terms of size and length and defensive ability. So, I think they do.
Alex, this year, here's my goal for the new year. You ready?
Yeah.
I want a road trip with you to Fort Wayne to go to a Mad Ants game. Maybe we'll get Scott Agnes as well, but I'm going to be, and Fanboy might be playing, but I'm going to be Fanboy. I mean, I'm not going to paint my face per se, but I don't mean in a media capacity. I want to go up. We're going to find a microbrew place.
You want to be in the Mad Ants
Wayne
version of the Ozone? You want to be in that?
Yeah, I mean, I want to get myself a Summit Summer Ale and just watch some Mad Ants. Maybe, I mean, I guess if it's just the 3 of us, Kevin, if you want to come along, we can paint.
Yeah.
We can paint ants on our chest.
Okay.
ANTS. I mean, there got to be.
I thought you meant actual ants.
Well, that too. I mean, there've got to be 150, 200 people in the Coliseum.
Now, don't they play some games here in Indiana too?
Yeah. Do they play some here?
Indianapolis, I should say.
They did play some last year at the Fieldhouse.
No, screw that. We're
like
road tripping up.
idea.
We're going to stop in Fairmount, go to James Dean's place. I mean, we're going to do it all up, right? Maybe stop in Upland, go to Ivanhoe's in Upland, get ourselves a tenderloin, and then go to see the Mad Ants.
Yeah, I'm definitely down to go. I don't think I'm willing to take my shirt off and paint my chest. I think that would do all of us a favor if I kept my shirt on. But yeah, I'm definitely down for that. I think we have a lot of fun.
Are you a portly fellow?
I'm just a fat boy.
Okay. Well, then you can then we'll use
we
will use your chest to spell mad, and then me, Kevin, and Mark will just be Ant, and then Agnes can be the S.
Okay. We can work something out there, and I don't have a problem with that. I just think that Fanboy, we just don't want to scare him away too soon.
Well, trust me, Jake has already done that.
Let me tell you something. If you've seen Fanboy's haircut, that guy's fearless.
Jake's heading to the airport after the show to wait for him to land. I do want to end with a somewhat serious one, Alex.
What about that was not serious at all?
You keep on seeing Fanboy signs for Exhibit 10 deal, Eli Brooks from Michigan, Jermaine Samuels from Villanova. Can you explain what exactly the Exhibit 10 deal means?
Yeah, essentially it's a training camp deal. And that's the best way for me to put it. There's a lot of weird wording on it, but it just allows those players to be on the Pacers roster coming up to training camp, and then they have to get cut. And they can sign deals with the Mad Ants and the G League, whatever, but they're not part of the actual roster, just the training camp roster. So it's kind of similar. Keeper Sykes signed one last year, if you guys remember, after he had that big shot in the tournament when he won the game, the game winner. And so after the Exhibit 10 contract, he came in. They didn't trust him enough in terms of the preseason to be the backup third-string point guard. So that's why they ended up trading for Brad Wanamaker, getting him in here on the roster, and then signing him to a G League deal. So simplest way to put it, it's a training camp contract, and it allows them to get a better look at these guys. So that's about it.
Chris Boucher, Alex, that's the guy that I'd like to see in free agency.
Yeah, that'd be an interesting piece for sure.
A little bit older, but if Jalen Smith walks, that's the name from Toronto for me.
Yeah. Okay, I like Chris Boucher for sure. If Jalen Smith walks, I'm curious to see what the Pacers do and how aggressive they'll be on the trade market, because I think right now, if Jalen Smith's looking at the roster, he's going to get himself some guaranteed playing time.
Right.
And I don't necessarily know if it would be a guarantee, but you could almost guarantee him a starting position next to a Myles, or if Myles is traded for some reason, maybe even at the center, next to Ajax, next to O'Shea. I mean, I think you can almost guarantee him a starting position. And it's interesting that, like you guys said, they didn't go after anybody in the draft at power forward. So I think that Sticks might be the guy that they're really trying to target, and playing time is the best thing they can offer him outside of the limited contract they have.
At Alex Golden NBA on Twitter. It's going to be a busy week for the Indiana Pacers, setting the pace. Again, a must-listen podcast as well. Alex, thanks, man.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I appreciate it when we'll get that Fort Wayne trip.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, can't wait for the schedule release for the Mad Ants. Alex Golden right there on the Payless Liquors hotline. I've got this text from Matt here, Jake. He goes, KB, who is this Pacers fan that Jake is freaking out over?
Fanbo Zeng, I believe is his name. He was one of those when we were, for those that are...
And he's not a fan, just to reiterate.
Correct.
Here.
So the G League Ignite is the G League team that we were exploring after the draft because they had 3 players taken in like the first 30 picks.
Is this the Dyson Daniels team?
Correct.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so when we were looking, so we just happened to pull up their roster on Friday doing the show, and I noticed that they have a player on the roster named Fanbo Zeng, not to be confused with Finis Dimbo, who was on the cover of Sports Illustrated's 1988 college basketball issue out of Wyoming. But Fanbo, I jokingly started calling him Fanboy, saying that he's just there to take pictures with other teams, and then lo and behold, the Pacers signed him. So very clairvoyant on our behalf, if I might say so. So that's who Fanboy is. His name is Fanbo.
Now,
I've been reaching out to the Pacers. Do you want me to put in a request for him to come on the show?
Yes.
Now, did I hear him say Miles Bridges max deal? Well, that just makes me shudder.
Hey, it's all about what year you come out, right?
Oh, my gosh. Oh, man. That's scary. I do not want to be the team handing that out. All right, pop quiz is coming up here. Scotty is in the building, decked out in his Reds fanboy gear on this Monday morning. Let's do a morning check down before we get to that.
The Morning Checkdown. Brought to you by QC Kinetics, relieving your joint pain at QCkinetics.com on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
By the way, simply since you mentioned it, do you know Lake Pontchartrain? Are you familiar with that?
No, not at all.
Okay, well, the Lake Pontchartrain Causeway, which is it goes over Lake Pontchartrain in Louisiana, that's actually the longest bridge in the United States, 24 miles. Speaking of Miles Bridges.
I'm going to say this year's draft class, it's like the Knicks fans getting all in a lather over Jalen Brunson. I'm like, he's good, but okay. Like,
we
don't need to pick
right?
anybody.
Now,
We've got Jalen Brunson coming.
I do think that's where the Pacers can kind of slide into this. Who doesn't get Jalen Brunson? Hello? Malcolm Brogdon, anyone?
That's fair.
Find desperate.
Similar type
Seek
player.
Out desperate. That's the goal here. Jake, desperation, I guess, to repair the Stanley Cup, maybe?
Yeah, how about that yesterday? The Stanley Cup got itself a dent in it because the Colorado Avalanche picked it up and then some dude buckled, right?
He honestly looked like me trying to skate with the Stanley. How heavy is the Stanley Cup? But that's the other thing I was curious about.
Look that up.
It's
Thank you for asking.
30-something pounds, I think.
Jake doesn't know that with his hockey.
It's 38 pounds. Everybody knows that. Come on.
2-1 last night. The Avalanche beat the Lightning. They are the Stanley Cup champs.
34.5. Come on, give me credit.
For 2022.
34.5 pounds.
Mark just quickly moving on.
Let's move on.
Cubs over the Cardinals 6-5 yesterday. It was the Reds over San Francisco 10-3. Other baseball games of note, Dodgers over the Braves 5-3. Boston beating Cleveland 8-3. White Sox over the Orioles 4-3. And the Indianapolis Indians, who now have 24-ounce beers in the shape of a baseball bat, 6-2 over the Memphis Red Bulls.
Mark, how was the crowd yesterday? The crowd was great Friday night.
It was Purdue Day on top of Kids Eat Free Sunday. So
Colts Day on Friday.
Yeah.
Gary
Now, wait a
Brackett was in
minute.
the
Kids
building.
eat. Now you're saying it's because it's Kids Eat Free Sundays, meaning the day of the week Sunday, or kids get free Sundays?
No, you go in and if you're a kid, you get a voucher for a free hot dog, a bag of chips, and a water.
Well, that's not a free Sunday at all. Is there a Sunday involved?
Okay.
Jake, the Dykeman family was thrilled, beyond thrilled with that, as they should be.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, there's a lot of mouths to feed in this family.
Now,
free
kids
meals.
eat free Sundays, they need ice cream and chocolate
We were left
sauce.
field. We had a home run ball about 5 feet away from us.
So we normally sit in the lower.
We were outfield, to be fair.
We normally sit in the 104, 105 section, or whatever, because they have not whole memberships and everything for the kids.
Nice.
But yesterday we just decided to do upper level, so we did 204.
Ooh.
Upper level's nice.
Now,
upper level's
not
very
whole
nice.
does they get to run the bases after the
They
game?
get to run the bases. They get like a T-shirt. They get a little bunch of prizes every month. So it's a nice little thing.
They get free
my
Sunday?
girls love Rowdy, so they're a huge Rowdy fan.
Rowdy's cool.
Rosie a little bit intimidated by Rowdy, which she cried at Boomer this year. So the mascot thing, We're still sifting our way through.
Does Rowdy's fur, has it had some sun fade?
No, they've upgraded. Rowdy's a little different now.
Really?
He did look a little pinkish there for a while.
He did, right?
Yeah, I was worried about him. Didn't know if that was COVID related.
Rowdy had some work done.
Okay.
This was announced earlier. No Crossroads Classic anymore, Jake. So what was that? Was that a 10-year run? Does that sound right? For the Notre Dame, Purdue, Indiana, Butler.
If not longer, yeah.
This year it will be called the Indy Classic. Not sure how the ticket sales will be, but nonetheless, it'll be Ball State versus the Redbirds of Illinois State, and then Purdue and Davidson. Those will be your two games on Saturday, December 17th. Obviously, Michael Lewis coaching Ball State now. The Illinois staff has some Indiana connections. Andrew Dockich, Walter Offit being a couple of assistants there. Is that the day IU plays Kansas? Is that where IU slotted in their schedule gap?
I think that's right, because that's what Indiana's makeup was, right?
So Indiana will be at Allen Fieldhouse for that.
Be a great place for people to go watch a game. By the way, Rowdy did have a facelift. I'm looking now.
Yeah.
Someone tweeted this at me, Jake. Why not Butler for Davidson? So Purdue Butler. Didn't Butler say they still wanted to be in it? Wasn't it Indiana Notre Dame that wanted to back out?
They're saying why didn't Purdue and Butler?
Right. Why is it Davidson and not Butler?
It's a good question. I don't know. I mean, schedule. Who knows?
Yeah, that is interesting. On it? The Colts, for those that care, that weekend they would potentially be on the road. It isn't known if they'll play Saturday or Sunday, but that's at Minnesota for the Colts. Because remember last year we had the Crossroads Classic and Colts Patriots that night.
Has Rowdy always had the yellow hair coming out of the black hat?
He's going through a phase right now.
Jake, it's called aging. We all have been there.
Is it because of the Pittsburgh? Is it because of his parents? Usually you do things in defiance of your parents, but the parent club, the Pirates, is Rowdy kissing up to the parents? Is that what this is?
No. Wants to be a swashbuckler? I don't know.
Scotty, I have not heard of many of these people in the pop quiz.
Good.
Number one is about the only one I've got here. Did you go off Jake's answer for number two?
No, I actually had that, and I moved that up to number two when I heard Jake give the answer out over the air.
So we have given out some of these. Jake, he came prepared today with his NCAA national champions. We'll throw those at you next. Pop quiz time. Jiffy Lube prize pack up for grabs. 317-239-1070.
Follow The Fan on social media. The Fan is on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Like and follow The Fan to stay up to date on all of our giveaways and all things sports.
The Jack Harlow meal from KFC is here. Try Jack's favorite meal from KFC. Order your Jack Harlow meal on the KFC app. That's finger-licking good. Prices and participation may vary. Tax and substitutions extra.
When you're ready to trade up from ordinary to extraordinary, visit the Midwest's premier entertainment destination, Four Winds Casinos. Exceptional food, shows, shopping, and fun at Four Winds Casinos. With locations in South Bend, New Buffalo, Hartford, and Dowagiac. Visit fourwindscasinos.com and trade up from ordinary to extraordinary. Four Winds Casinos.
Hey, it's JMV for the absolute best in realty. Mark Deedle Realty. 317-755-4232. That's 317-755-4232. Online, markdeedle.com. That's markdeedl.com today. So let's talk about Chris from Noblesville. They were ready to upgrade to a newly built home. They hired Mark Deedle and asked him to maximize the current home price so they could afford their new home. Mark gave them a plan to get the most money possible, and he pushed the price hard to get them $15,000 over a high asking price and plenty of time to get into their new home. Mark Deedle has a guarantee for you. Multiple offers on your home in 3 days, or he is going to list it for free. That's Mark Deedle Realty, 317-755-4232, 317-755-4232. MarkDeedle.com. That's MarkDietel.com today.
2022 NBA Draft.
The Pacers will really have a new look now.
The Indiana Pacers now on the clock.
With the 6th pick, the Indiana Pacers select Benedict Mathurin.
Giving it up. Oh! And the hammer from Mathurin.
What happens next?
Benedict Mathurin
happens here.
I love his style of play and what he can bring.
Your home for Pacers basketball. 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan. Have you studied? Can you handle the pressure? Sharpen your pencils. It's time for the Pop Quiz with Kevin and Query. Brought to you by Jiffy Lube, Indiana's favorite oil change since 1985.
There is one answer of the Pop Quiz of a player that passed in a very tragic and unusual fashion. I'll simply say that. It's one of the answers.
Well, that's a great way to start our week here.
Happy Monday, everybody.
To take a 180 here, someone has sent me, a good friend of mine actually sent me the Fanboy highlights.
He looks good, doesn't he?
Jake, has a lefty ever had a bad shooting stroke?
No, that's a good. I mean, Chris Mullen and Brian Evans are the creme de la creme in that category.
I mean, you know who
right?
honestly is a lefty that's probably had the worst shooting stroke I've seen?
Me in the gym.
Calbert Chaney, also outstanding.
I would say Domas. Domas kind of like shot put with the left hand. Fanboy, it's smooth.
Yeah, no, Fanboy looks good, right?
Do you think that is his actual name?
Fanboy?
Yeah.
As opposed to what?
Well, you know.
Is that short for something?
I'm going to go with this name instead.
Yeah, it could be. I don't know. Was that just kind of a nickname given to him?
Fanatical Male? Is that his actual name and they just shortened it to Fanboy?
Mom and Dad, I don't want to be a herald. I want to be Fanbo.
Now, Fanboy's number is what? I assume that's what you'll be guessing here?
1. There's not a fan out there that's not number 1, right?
In your heart or in your program?
Both. Although Lance Stevenson, is he still 1?
Well,
You're 6.
Not for
6, that's right, yeah.
I'm kind of done with Lance, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah. Like we can get more into that this week. Like, is Lance really going to accept the 13th man spot?
So you're saying the novelty's over with?
He's 32 years old. I don't want him taking minutes from anybody that matter.
Okay.
Yeah, it was fun while it lasted, to steal a quote from Rick Carlisle.
It was fun while it lasted. Yep.
All right, Jake, you want to go with numero uno for Mr. Fanboy Mark Dykton?
Sure.
That'd be Jeff.
Jeff, good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen.
How you doing, Jeff?
Doing great.
Jeff, you spelled the J or a G?
A J.
Jeff, just out of curiosity, are you a fan of country music?
No.
Not at all. You sound like you could have a nice baritone country music voice. If we were to give you tickets to, and we're not going to, so don't worry. But if we were going to give you tickets to go see your favorite musical act in concert, past or present, who would you select?
Moody Blues.
Oh, okay, that's cool. You know, Bill Benner, local sports writer and, of course, media member extraordinaire. Bill Benner has seen the Moody Blues like 58 times in concert.
Seen them a few more times than I did. I've seen them 11.
Have you really?
Wow.
And what's your favorite Moody Blues song? Is it generic of me to say Nights in White Satin?
Very generic.
Mm-hmm.
Really, I'm just a singer in a rock and roll band.
Okay.
I like Jeff's cadence.
Outstanding. That's what I said.
I like his rhythm here. I like his cadence. Jeff, thanks for calling in. Have you participated many times before?
Yeah, I got through once with, that's back when Jeff and Big Joe were there, and back when, can't remember the other guy's name, but it was before that. It's been a long, it's been a long time ago.
Well, we appreciate your loyalty to the program.
Jeez.
That's okay. I call in when I can. I just don't get lucky enough to get picked sometimes.
Hey, well, thank you. And yes, this is a very lucky Monday. Jake, throw number 1 at Jeff.
All right, question number 1. Pete Alonso of the Mets currently leads the major leagues in runs batted in with 69. He also set a franchise record, that's a Mets record, for most RBI through the month of June. Whose Mets record for most RBI through June did Pete Alonso break? Was it A, his own record, B, Darryl Strawberry, C, Carlos Beltran, or D, Mike Piazza?
Mike Piazza.
Good start there, Jeff.
Nice.
Number 2, Mississippi. Have you been listening to the show today, Jeff?
A little bit, not a lot.
Cut.
Same here.
Mississippi won the College World Series yesterday. It's the first College World Series title for Ole Miss and just the second NCAA championship among all programs in school history. Name the other program that won an NCAA title for Ole Miss. Program that I actually paid some attention to. A, women's golf. B, men's gymnastics. C, women's outdoor track and field. Or D, softball.
Softball.
Jeff, their assistant coach on this team actually left to become Purdue's head coach at this sport. Probably helps you out not one bit, but that is my clue to say guess again.
Well, let's go with women's basketball.
Not an option. Oh, boy. Women. Did I say women's basketball? Women's golf, men's gymnastics, outdoor track and field.
Just take a swing at it.
Or softball.
Take a swing at it. He said golf, by the way. Jeff, which of the following was the Moody Blues album that came out before the other? A Question of Balance or Days of Future Past? Which came first?
Days of Future Past.
Jeff is a fan. All right, in this day in 1986, Jeff, San Francisco Giants second baseman Robbie Thompson was caught stealing a Major League record 4 times in the same game as the Giants lost to the Reds. Name the Reds catcher who gunned down Thompson all 4 times in that game. This man tragically passed when trying to install a satellite dish on his house that fell on top of him. Dave Van Gorder, Bo Diaz, Dan Bilardello, or Alan Nicely?
A.
Okay.
These are like the satellite dishes of yore, where they're like 7 feet long.
Yeah, that is correct.
It's not like a little direct TV.
No,
that is correct.
They're the size of Fanboy. Number 4, Cale Makar of the Avalanche. Jake has a jersey on his way.
I do.
For him. Was named the Conn Smythe Trophy winner as the MVP of the Stanley Cup playoffs. 23 years, 239 days of age. Makar is the 3rd youngest defenseman to win the Conn Smythe Trophy in NFL history. Bobby Orr was 22 years and 51 days old when he won the award for Boston in 1970, who was the 2nd youngest. Brian Leach, Serge Savard, Al McGinnis, or Larry Robinson?
Leach.
Did you know that, or was that just a guess?
I knew that one.
Jeff's confidence there was impressive. Jake, you going number 5?
Jeff, can you name the Moody Blues song that joins Night in White Satin as their only top 10 hit on the Billboard Hot 100? Not in your wildest dreams did you think I'd ask you this question, right?
Yeah, that's probably what it is, your wildest dreams.
That is correct, yes. Can you name the only NHL player to win 3 Conn Smythe trophies in his career? Is it Wayne Gretzky, Bobby Orr, Patrick Waugh, or Sidney Crosby?
Patrick Waugh.
Wow, nice.
Man, and that far apart, Scott,
nice.
For Patrick Waugh? See, that's the thing that's always impressed me about Brady, Jake, is like how
the longevity.
Spread out the titles are. Man, Patrick Waugh. Whew. All right, let's see how Jeff did here. That was one of the more wilder pop quizzes, which is saying something. Pete Alonso of the Mets currently leads in Major League, 69 runs batted in. Nice. Whose Mets record for most RBI through June did Alonso break? He said Mike Piazza.
I was wrong, by the way. Go Now was technically a top 10 hit, just so you know.
No way you see the Moody Blues so often. The performances are all different because they're moody. Might get a positive one, might get a negative one.
Sometimes they're just feeling the blues and their moodiness. Is that what you're telling me?
Mm-hmm.
I look to you not to go down that path.
Can you tell somebody's worked with me for 6 months?
I know. I need to take a vacation.
What question are we on? Number 2?
We're working together all week next week.
Mississippi, by the way, the other title they have women's golf. She was correct.
And again, their assistant, now the Purdue women's golf coach. Okay, on this day in 1986, Robbie Thompson caught stealing a Major League record 4 times in the same game. Named the Reds catcher who gunned Thompson down all 4 times in that game. Jake, he guessed Dave Van Gorder.
The correct answer was Bo Diaz, the late Bo Diaz.
You blew it!
Serge Savard, Patrick Waugh.
You don't get to come back tomorrow. You don't even get a lousy copy of our home game. You're a complete loser.
Well, it was fun while it lasted.
After getting gunned down like the 3rd time, you're like, maybe today's not my day. Maybe I should sit tight here at
4
first.
4 times the charm.
This from Alex. Kevin, you might be kicked off the Indy airwaves with that Lance take. Lance can be the Pacers' Udonis Haslem.
Can he, though, Jake?
I do like his game, and I like the fact that this seemingly is the one place where he doesn't require to have to be out there. Like, I don't think he's a sulker at all. I don't think he's a disruption at all. And I think he's learned his lesson from being an on-court disruption. But I do think that there's probably a little bit of pressure
on
the franchise and the coach and getting him in there at this point. When
Can a guy named Born Ready be a glorified walk-on in the NBA? I mean, Udonis Haslem hasn't played a meaningful minute in 10 years.
I think he knows that he doesn't have a choice at this point, right?
Yeah. And again, I want to make it clear, I don't want him taking minutes. I guess on the roster, sure, but taking minutes, no. You got young guys on the team that can do that. Patrick Waugh, 86, so that was with the Canadiens. Well, he was with the Canadiens for a while. 86, 93, and 2001. That's a hell of a career. All right, we'll do it one final time here. Kevin and Query on a Monday.
Hi, it's Bob from Royal Spa. Soaking in a hot tub full of Epsom salts is the absolute best way to minimize everyday aches and pains. And we know all about Epsom salts at Royal Spa. Royal Spa hot tubs are the only hot tubs on the market that can safely and effectively use Epsom salts. Made right here in Indiana, Royal Spa hot tubs are the highest quality hot tubs on the market. Visit any one of our 3 Indianapolis locations or visit royalspa.com.
Ah, Royal Spa.
O'Reilly. This is Sarah's O'Reilly Auto Parts story.
Driving cross country with 2 young children is ambitious, to say the least. Then our check engine light came on. We pulled into O'Reilly Auto Parts and they tested it. Turned out it was a faulty sensor. They referred us to a great mechanic just down the street and we were back on the road in no time.
O'Reilly Auto Parts. Here's what's happening with the Fan.
Live from the Checkered Flag Tavern this Thursday, 3 to 6 p.m., it's JMB on the 2022 Evan Williams Tavern Tour. Stop by for your chance to win a $50 gift card and to pick up a Tavern Tour t-shirt. Remember to follow the Fan on social media. Find us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Like and follow the Fan to stay up to date on events, giveaways, and all things sports.
For more info, click on 1075thefan.com.
Indy 11 is celebrating Independence Day Saturday, July 2nd with downtown's only fireworks show that night after their 7:30 match versus Miami FC at Carroll Stadium. Presented by IBEW Local 481. It'll be great family fun with tickets starting at just $15. Come early for live music by Cam Cole from Apple TV's Ted Lasso show. Get $11 meal deals and $4 Heineken. Then stay late for a fireworks show synced to a soundtrack curated by JMV's Takeover program on B105.7. Get tickets and details at Indy11.com.
Hi, I'm Ryan Kelly with thehomeloanexpert.com. Mortgage interest rates have started to drop, but you need to get locked in today. And at thehomeloanexpert.com, our rates are over a quarter point lower than the national average. We don't just talk about low rates, we have them. Maybe you've been holding off on that cash out refinance. Don't wait any longer. Now's the time. Visit thehomeloanexpert.com. Home of the 10-day closing guarantee.
The Home Loan Expert LLC, NMLS number 1326241.
Hey, JMV and fellas, need an annual health exam? I recommend going to Low T Center to get your complete health assessment. They will check all of your levels, not just your T level. In most cases, it's completely covered by your health insurance, and if you don't have insurance, it's less than $100 for a full lab panel and an office visit with their medical provider to give you a complete health assessment. Low T Center specializes in men's health care. Go to lowtcenter.com now to book online. That's Low T Center, reinventing men's health care.
Cardinals, Phillies, Sunday Night Baseball. The coverage begins at 6 on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
You're listening to Kevin and Query on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Mark, this is the second break where we've lost Jake.
He's, yeah. How long we got in this break? Like 3 minutes, and he's gone for 7.
Fanboy? Walk in the front lobby?
Trying to pre-order a jersey, maybe? I don't know.
Kevin Durant, next team, if not the Nets, Mark Dykton. Who does Vegas say?
Ooh. Man.
Not a team I would have guessed right away, but
I'm trying to think like who could even take on that contract.
They're like a half piece away. I mean, hell, they almost were there this year.
Suns?
Very close.
The Mavericks.
The Miami Heat at 5-2. Memphis at 4-1.
That would be intriguing.
Can you imagine that one? And Kyrie Irving's next team, if not the Nets.
Boy. Contender, non-contender.
Just think as big a market.
Lakers.
Yep. Lakers and Clippers there with Kyrie. 3-1, 7-2. Do not see the Indiana Pacers listed in the top 8 teams for either.
Well, I mean, with Jake's gambling problem, taking long shots, I mean, he can go with the Pacers right there.
Come on.
Oh, you came back.
Boy, you came back. We thought you were with Fanboy, the salad place down there.
We were wondering what you've been doing you've been disappearing every break.
I've got meetings.
Oh, yeah.
Very important.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin has gifts for us, does he not?
Well,
supposedly.
Just relaying gifts from other people. Let's start here, okay? This is from Charlie, all right? Now, Jake, Charlie is Skivvies on Twitter.
Okay.
I don't know if you're familiar with that name.
I am.
Charlie says this: Kevin, Jake, and Mark enjoy some.
Oh, boy.
Can you see it?
Oh, boy.
Can you see it?
I just saw it, buddy. I just saw it.
We're on YouTube, right, Mark?
Yep. Bucky's Nuggets.
Kevin, Jake, and Mark enjoy some Beaver Nuggets from Bucky's. Hope this reaches you guys. I have loved the show from day one. Loyal listener, Charlie.
Get in my belly!
Charlie, I think, sent out a picture. He was driving through Kentucky, I guess.
Hell,
oh, man.
Yeah.
How about that, Charlie?
Wow. Hold on.
That's a beautiful thing.
I've got to send a picture to Charlie. Yes, indeed, we got you. This is like the girl that sent the pizza to the Mariners pitcher, right?
So how about that? Jesse Winker with the pizza, and we got some Bucky Nuggets. And then we got another one, all right? Now, this is a little bit more of a divide and conquer, okay? This is from loyal listener from really 7 a.m. on every morning. This is Matthew, who has sent one of these packages already to us via mail, all right? So we have got a lot of items here that we can get into. We've got some, some dark chocolate cookie action here, some summer citrus soap, little fig and ginger jam.
Now, wait a minute. The only Skivvies that I'm seeing on Twitter has a suspended account.
And we have, Mark, I believe you loved the pies, didn't you?
Yes. Those
Last
were good.
time. We've got one here. Is this the strawberry one? The red velvet.
Yeah, that looks about right.
Red velvet. Oh, thank you, Joe Koppel. And Steve Snacks Bakery here, the whoopie pie.
Excuse me? There's kids in the studio.
There are kids in the studio.
I mean, you gotta be careful here, right?
This is a great crowd here on a Monday. Jake, what were your favorites from the original? Did you like the jam? Wasn't there soap that you wanted?
Oh, there was a soap.
time?
Do we have the soap in there?
I believe this is it.
Oh, yeah. I need the soap.
Wayward Chickadee Summer Citrus.
Oh, there we go. Ooh, giddy up. I don't know if you know this, but I'm very hygienic. I shower like 3 times a day.
Now look at this one. Look at this.
I'm the one that showered this morning before we came in here. Mark, did you?
Yes.
Look at this little
Kevin's got to have some. We know he did not.
Well, we do have guests in the studio, so I'd rather not admit that out loud. Blueberry Maine honey here.
Sure.
So we're going to have to divide this up. But thank you to Matthew and thank you to Charlie for this.
Thank you very much.
The stuff from Maine is always welcomed, right? Now, we have guests in studio, Joe. Who do we have in studio?
Molten lava cake mix in a cup.
Ooh.
We have Jack and AJ.
Jack and AJ. You guys go to school where?
I go UT Elementary, the Longhorns.
Go Longhorns.
Go Longhorns. All right, fair enough.
I love
Hook 'em
it.
Horns. Arch Manning.
You got 2 boys that play high-level select basketball, and they're in town for a tournament here in Indy.
Ah, nice. Okay.
Now, are you a Spurs fan? No? Just
Are you a
rocking
Rockets
the
fan?
shirt? The Spurs with Romeo Langford,
I'll bet the
Sasha
Spurs is like
Stefanovic,
his
and
travel
Blake
basketball
Wesley
team.
Yeah,
Right?
They're going to play some games in Austin this year to kind of drum up the fan base a little bit more. So they're going to play some Spurs games, I think, for sure in Austin and also in Houston.
So last week, Jake, was the volleyball tournament in town, right?
I think the volleyball tournament is still
here?
in town.
Now, are you guys at the convention center this week, or where are you playing?
We're actually
all over.
back to Austin today.
Heading back to Austin?
Yeah, boys really wanted to come in here and see y'all. We've been listening to the show for quite a while out of Indiana. And,
Love it.
I wanted to see you live.
Boy,
All right.
Jake, this is a pleasant surprise, right?
Now, the volleyball tournament, I don't know, the travel sports thing is obviously intense, but the volleyball in particular, because this morning at 6:30 when I'm driving down Capitol, there were volleyball girls running sprints on Capitol, and I thought, well, I didn't know this is the sport of sociopaths.
Jake, it looked like
but
they were
apparently it is.
headed to the gym at I'm like, is their first match at 7 a.m.?
That's what I mean. Like, they must, they probably are playing like all day long, right?
Now, saltwater taffy.
Okay, let me see.
Now, I know you don't love the saltwater pools, right?
I prefer the freshwater taffy, but that's fine. Let's see.
Mark, anything that you would like out of this?
I'll have to peruse a little later.
Do you want the pies?
I'll take whatever you give me. I don't care.
I'm a big dark chocolate guy. You think I can keep this one?
Sure.
Dark chocolate's all you.
I got the soap, man. That's all I'm worried about, right? Okay. Everything else. No, hold on. I want to know more. So so you guys live in Texas, right? And you are here for a basketball tournament.
Come on over.
Here, come on here and get on the mic here.
Slide over here.
And then Ryan Kelly.
So I know
the
Ryan,
home loan
the
expert
home
is
loan
in the
expert.
building.
That is correct, right?
Guys.
And I thought you had
Seeing
St.
Ryan
Louis
Kelly in
roots. Am I
the
off on
flesh
that?
is a big deal.
Home Loan Expert was founded in St. Louis, Missouri. It's where I started the company. Indiana was our third market right here in Indianapolis, and a big proud sponsor of the Pacers. Love going to the Pacers games. Love watching them, and I was hoping there would be a first-round draft pick in that box, but so we just got to settle with the soap, I guess. So these boys played for high-level select basketball down in Austin, which I moved to 3 years ago.
Okay.
And AJ can handle that ball like nobody else. And Jack got that game-winning shot last night.
Nice.
So,
Let's go. All right.
Yeah, they're super excited. These are probably the biggest NBA fans, maybe in the building. I don't know. If you guys want to do some trivia, they can definitely.
So you want to make sure they just keep climbing their way through here, right?
That's right.
All right. So who wins the NBA title next year, boys?
Me. No.
Boy.
We just talked about our breakfast. Go ahead. Come on.
I don't know who will win it. It depends on how people do. Trades could happen.
It's a busy week.
Who's your favorite team, NBA-wise?
Warriors.
Oh, the Warriors.
Yeah, we went to Game 5 in San Fran 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
Jack and I have been going to a championship game for a few years now. We tried
That's
to catch
cool.
one. So we saw Giannis beat up on the Valley, down the
It's
Valley.
one of the
2
great
years ago.
performances of all time.
It really was.
Now, what about Dallas fans? Luka? No?
Not really.
I like John Morant.
Ja Morant.
He's a good player. Now, here's the thing for you guys to keep in mind. Giannis, Ja Morant, Steph Curry. Those three, probably three of your favorites, right?
Yes.
All three of those guys, their games truly developed kind of later than everybody else. So when your friends are getting the accolades or whatever else, they just stayed the course and kept doing what they had to do, and then they believed in themselves to the point where then their game came together, and now they're arguably three of the best players in the world, but they were not when they were 15, 16, 17 years old. So you got to just keep working, stay in the course, right? Stay in the course no matter what. Hard work pays. Just never forget
Jake
that.
and I were saying this a few weeks ago. We feel like Ja Morant is like the person in the NBA right now you want to go see. Like, by far. He's the one that everybody wants to go see right now. So, I love that. Yeah. Well,
and for those folks that want to move to Austin, Texas, or wherever it may be, then the Ryan Kelly Home Loans is the way to go, right?
100%.
Got to make sure.
About getting pre-approved for a new home loan, give me a call.
That's right.
That's
right.
Now you've got Arch Manning coming to Austin, Texas.
Man, I'm excited about that.
Yeah, so the nephew of Peyton and Eli there.
And he'll be, so UT's going to maybe start a new chapter here. We're ready to go.
Back on the map, right?
Hook 'em horns.
Now, I do like when Ryan Kelly shows up. Sometimes it's like during the free throw of a Pacers game, I feel like. Or sometimes you show up on the side, or maybe it's a full commercial as well.
I try to get him wherever they let me, really.
Right.
So halftime show, this and that, I'll take it.
Yeah.
Huge fan of everything. In fact, we're on the elevator, we're talking about probably one of the worst trades that the Indianapolis the Pacers ever made. You know, they had a shot at Jordan many years ago.
Oh, yeah.
You guys
Tom Owens.
There it is.
Way back in the day.
PTSD over that. Yeah, they traded away their future 84 first-round pick to Portland, which Portland used to take Sam Bowie as opposed to Jordan. But, yeah.
Well, thanks for coming to the studio, guys.
Yeah, I appreciate you.
And safe travels back. Ryan, thanks for everything that you do as well. So appreciate that.
Yeah, I appreciate everything you guys have done. We've been a partner here with the station for probably going on close to a decade now, about 10 years. I don't know. They might tell me 8, but it's been a while. And just a big fan of all things sports here in town, Colts, all that. Remember center Ryan Kelly.
Certainly.
And, we did some really cool stuff his rookie year coming out of the combine, where it was like you should have called the other Ryan Kelly and all that.
There you go.
We had a lot of fun. So love our city here and love all the sports and love what you guys do for the fans here.
It's home loan expert Ryan Kelly right there. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Chad Buchanan, the GM of the Indiana Pacers, he's going to join us Mark, you said at 9:30? 9:30 tomorrow.
School is in session.
Friend McCaffrey. I think reports of the Iowa demise